it a privilege to be alive today. I'm feeling very grateful and excited about the week. It's almost end month. We are practically past mid month and heading to the end of the month. And I'm looking forward to so many things, the festive season, everything in between, as long as it's all jolly. My name is Stephanie Ayeta, and this is Why in the Morning. Thank you for tuning in. The hashtag to use again is Why in the Morning at Y254 channel. I am not alone. I've been joined by my amazing co-host Brian Sako. How have you been, Brian?
I've been fantastic. Good morning to you. How are you, Steph?
Good morning. I'm well.
Yeah, it feels good to be here this Monday morning, right?
Sure.
Right. And speaking of feeling good, Sanko, and you can find me at Brown Sako 101. It's been a jam-packed weekend, but away from that, today towards 9 a.m., we'll be talking about matters manhood and adulthood. A modern-day man, what are some of the things that shape you as a man? But then we also have a question that will be loading up shortly. I'm sure it's already on social. We are asking you, what are some of the behaviors and qualities that shape a responsible, reputable, respectful man? And with that, I'll be engaging two gentlemen, but some of the things I'll be tackling include the role of fatherhood in shaping a responsible man, the role of motherhood. Most of the time we just talk about, fathers, but then mothers play a huge role, especially when it comes to shaping the life of a man. In fact, I think it's a Yoruban saying that says, a man is who his mother makes him. In short, your mother is the first woman you get to experience. So she sets the example of the rest of the women you'll ever meet for the rest of your life. So we'll be delving into that, things like sexuality, sex, porn addiction, relationships, identity, mentorship, religion, background, childhood experiences, accomplishments, finances, relationships, and much more. So stick around for that conversation. Mostly modern day masculinity versus traditional masculinity. And I'll be engaging two guests that include Eric Mungai. He is the CEO from Yazua Africa, and then David Muriungi. He is from Boys Mentorship Interactive. So it's bound to be an incredible conversation. You better stick around at Bransac 101 and at Y254 channel.
Wonderful, wonderful. It's quite an interesting topic.
Yeah.
What shapes a responsible man?
Yes.
Wow. Interesting. I'd like to hear the perspective from
From
men.
my guest, yeah.
I think I'd have my own, but looking forward to that conversation. And even ladies, so you make sure you jump on that hashtag
Yeah.
and give us your thoughts on it. Away from that, how's your weekend been like?
Hey, my
What's your
weekend.
highlights?
My weekend was really interesting. I think there's one of my friends who works somewhere, so we were trying to just recap on some of the political events that happened, including the hashtag where it was recall Meg Whitman, formerly, is she now former or current U.S. ambassador to Kenya? She finally, rendered or tendered her resignation letter. And of course, Kenyans were on the hashtags and everything. So finally, it came into play. But I think what caught my attention is the former president and my uncle in my head. You know who I'm talking about.
Rick G.
Right. And our president, and deputy president, they finally met at the same venue. But then there's things you could see, you could read, the body language, And then the way our uncle came into the scene here. Yeah, so there were so many conversations and reactions. A lot of people were saying, power feds, sometimes your friends will be the one to set you up. And there's one who said, your colleagues at work are not your friends, never trust them. So there are so many things that come into that, and I think it's interesting.
That's quite something. I think that was it's a highlight for many people because we did not expect to have them meet at the same venue.
Yeah.
And some people are actually saying that the president was initially not going to the venue until he had, that the former president and the former deputy president will be there. So it was an impromptu, but that we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But it's just a hearsay. It was quite interesting to see them. And in the political space, you'd expect that, someone, in the normal life, rather, you'd expect, some gumis to be rushwado, you did this to me, not. So. But they just greet each other very well. They sit down and things move, but you could tell from the either the speeches, you
Yeah.
know,
In fact, the
uh,
Uhuru spot, his
either
speech was very, comical and entertaining. Yeah.
yeah, and the reception that he also got from people when the bishop was introducing, he,
Yeah.
the bishop started with the president, the deputy president, and then the former president, and people really cheered when his name was mentioned. So, you know, he was a sensation for that particular day. And what he said, nowadays is ametulia na watch TV na
Yeah.
nasikiza radio. That's it.
I'm sure
Ataki
that
mambo
sound
mingi.
itakuwa viral meme sound on TikTok.
Yeah, it will be
I'm
used.
sure umeanza in fact, I've seen at least 2-3 videos pale TikTok. They've already started using it.
Using
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So even Rigiji used the same.
Yeah. For
He
real.
did. He said, like what the president, I think, I saw someone quote him, like what the former president is doing, hata mimi naona tu TV, something.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can imagine it will be a
Oi.
popular meme. But
There
I
was
think
a Oye vibe pale. Okay.
that he also got a
yeah.
lot of cheers,
Right, yeah.
leaving. So that was something, and people are wondering, because it's supposed to be at the current DP's area, because it was in Embu. So but people are cheering Rigiji, so it got people a bit confused, like, okay.
Yeah.
And so we saw that even as the former president who was leaving, he had a lot of people, cheering him. And we didn't get the same for the president and the deputy president, which could be interpreted as many things. And maybe that's one of the things we'll be talking about with my panel for politics. But
then the
it's
event,
interesting.
The event, I think it was also, they were to adhere to the theme. It was consecration of the bishops, who initially walikuwa wamepeana a very bombshell statement regarding the government, and they should stop lying. I don't know if you saw that. I think that's what created this whole...
That's actually how it started,
Yeah.
because the Catholic bishops gave us the statement that they gave, that the president specifically and the government is lying to Kenyans, and they're not in touch with what people are going through qua ground. And immediately after that statement, many of the politicians, from government reacted to it. And I remember one of what Edwin Sifuna said, that one speech from the bishop, elicited such reactions from 15, immediately from 15 members, of the government. So it speaks a lot. And the president also gave his feedback later, saying that they should not mislead people lest they be what they're accusing others of. So it was something. And now seeing them, and the bishop that said that, in the same setup, it was also just aware, I would say, of the president trying to calm the situation, isikuwe out of hand, isikuwe wasikosane, because that would also be something. The church,
Sure.
the bishops, they are very influential in who sits in that seat. And we remember during the campaign period, the president was really heavily supported by the church. So, it's worrisome when the church calls you out. But again, I'm thinking that's the mandate of the church. We have seen the church in the past, hapa tu kidogo tu juzi wengine walipatana, walijumika wakasema, wametumiwa watu wanawaangalia what they are preaching, because and people are saying they received handouts, so now they're being controlled because of the money they took, so they slept to the government, and all. But now when you see the church speak out and not aikaliwi, not bribed, the church shouldn't be corrupted, because they're supposed to speak against injustices, social injustice and so many other things. So it's good to have that voice out there.
Okay. I think from a political mindset, the question is, has now, that part become the official opposition. And I think there's a lot of reactions as well from political analysts from the shows I watched. From I think they gave a statement. They gave a statement on Wednesday or Thursday, and then interesting. The Ministry of Health responded by issuing, their statement. National Police Service responded by issuing the official statement. We saw Ministry of Education as well. They responded because those are the key areas that were touched, including the funding model. And as we speak, university lecturers are still on strike.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a looming strike by KMPDU, the Kenya Medical Practitioners Dentists Union. SHA shift transition, actually the bishop said they should actually boycott it and resort to NHIF, which the president in his address at Embu said, they should give him time. But then I also think at some point, a cabinet secretary health was summoned to Senate and she didn't turn up. She said, I don't know a statement she gave later, but there's been just a lot of drama unfolding apart from, US ambassador resigning. Man, hey, I think that one. Kenyans online are like, yes, your voice is really matter. And I was seeing some of the reactions even on TikTok, political analysts and people who are, pointing out some of the issues that are amiss. They are like, Kenyans, we should now start recalling members of parliament and politicians who are not, delivering their mandate.
Yeah.
And I think it's an interesting time, even as you'll have that conversation on state of the nation.
Yeah, amazing. We will have that. Interesting times indeed. A lot is happening in the political space. For me, what has stood out or what stood out over the weekend is more on a lighter side in the entertainment scene. And it's this particular topic that let me see if I can get it. That so what Sarah Kabo said, is she a billionaire already? Okay, so according to this, she's been captioned as a billionaire. So billionaire businesswoman Sarah Kabo says that most married men who cheat genuinely love their wives and are unlikely to leave them for their mistresses. And I think that, it stood out because it's a very according to me, on a personal note, it's a very misguided statement, especially coming from such a prominent person in the society and being in a platform with influencers such as, Eve Mungai Eve, because it's on her YouTube channel, the podcast that they host. And this got me thinking, because I'm assuming, I've not watched the interview, but I'm assuming it's in line, with what happened with Guinea-Bissau guy, and now we're having this conversation, and it's almost like she is, because even at that particular moment when, what was his name?
But Ebang Ngonga.
Ngonga, yes.
Yeah.
So when Ngonga was trending, she sort of supported him to an extent. And now she is saying that it's okay for men to cheat, and those that cheat genuinely love their wives and are likely to leave them for their mistresses. So why would she say that? So is it okay now for married women to allow their married men to just cheat? Because why not? After all, I am the wife. You will not leave me for the mistresses, so you go ahead and cheat, and you still love me. I mean, I think it's misguided, and I feel like, to a large extent, that influencers are really misguiding the society, because they shape what people believe in. They shape what people, the culture that people will engage in, So I'm feeling that was really misguided, and something that also Mungai Eve said some time back, just recently though, that it's okay for someone to have what did she say exactly? It's not okay for someone to have multiple partners, but you can I can't remember really, but you can. Okay, let me just not say because I'm not exactly sure
Yeah.
what she said, but I know that it didn't sit well with me. So that's my point really.
Yeah.
Influencers are should know that they are shaping how people perceive life and the culture that people are adopted to a large extent. Because now, when someone like Sarah Kabu says that, so a married woman will just sit and say, "Okay, fine, let my husband cheat," and the married man will say, "Yeah, if a billionaire lady says that, who do you think you are?"
Mm.
Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
Wow. I think that was crazy and just profoundly wild and insane because uh, she may be speaking what's happening at her household, you know. Is she telling us some of the things that are happening behind the scenes? But then are they the owners of Bonfire Adventures?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
They are the owners.
Mm.
So
Yeah, you
I'm
see what
I'm
they're
being
doing.
I'm being told that my producer is saying that Sarah Kabu is probably just facing her own traumas from her husband, and that's why she wants it to be sort of normalized, or she's covering it up by by whatever she's saying, that it's okay. So she's trying to validate her situation.
That's what I'm telling you. Is she telling of something that's happening in her background? You know, could be. You know.
It could actually be that,
Uh,
because you don't just come up and speak like that. So from the way she's speaking with conviction, she's speaking obviously from experience, and
Yeah.
and it's still wrong, even if you accept that, it is still wrong for you to advise people of the same. Because why would you want to mislead a whole society? So, but I'm seeing an article here
Uh-huh.
where Mungai Eve disputes Sarah Kabu's view on infidelity. So this was still in the same interview. So so Mungai Eve and her co-host Liz Jackson discussed Sarah Kabu's statement that women should not leave a man because of cheating, and shared their view that this mindset is outdated. They explained that the era of staying in a relationship despite infidelity is over. So Eve and Liz noted that in the past, marriages, including those of previous generation, often follow the belief that mwanamke ni kuvumilia kwenye ndoa. So basically they disputed that. And I agree to a large extent, and unless, it's bahati mbaya, and then you just choose to but otherwise hakuna bahati mbaya. But if you decide amongst you two that you want to settle that situation, it's fine, you settle it, and then you settle in marriage. But you accepting to be cheated on because Sarah Kabu said it's okay, and that your man loves you, because it's misguided. It's a lie. It's a lie. Do not accept it. 100%. Ama hizi ni billionaire kind of problems.
I don't think so. Trust me. I don't. Kama zingekuwa, we would have seen people like Elon Musk say. But Elon Musk is also, one of those guys who says, I don't know what happens with some of these, I'd say, figures that have platforms, and they have been put on a pedestal in a sense that, they are known for some certain things. But, Sarah Kabwe believes she's married to a businessman, and so she should look for a PR agent and an advisor who can advise you. What are some of the statements you put out there if you're representing a whole entire entrepreneurial brand that has, I believe, appealed to so many Kenyans. I think Bonfire Adventures has even helped is it street children, It has helped tech parents and even families. And now just in the season of this, Christmas times, it tells you something about, family. So I think if I were to advise her as her peer, I'd tell her to say or speak or put out statements that promote family values, statements that promote, I say conservativeness, instead of speaking explosive or putting out dicey and just controversial, sensational statements that I'm sure people that are of critical minds are questioning. For
Yeah.
real, this is,
Like,
a whole, But anyways, they say not my monkey, not my circus. Who am I? Hmm? Who am I?
not your monkey, not your circus.
Yeah.
All right. There's also this statement that I saw yesterday. It's in a newspaper. One of those anonymous things that's written. It's basically gossip, but in the political sector. So this is nuisance of an ever begging leader. So, and we're not being told who this leader is. Where is it? Where is it? I've lost it. Let me come back to it. So, a senior opposition politician is said to have become a nuisance to colleagues over his endless begging. The man, who has in the past held senior government positions, is said to be broke always. Recently, the man was embarrassed when he showed up for a church function and was asked to participate in an impromptu fundraiser. With no money, he resorted to soliciting for cash from his friends. In the past, another politician complained that the man left him with a huge bill after inviting supporters for lunch at a city outlet. Who could this senior political opposition leader be? Tell us. We do not know.
Kwa hii segment sina lawyer, but uko nje. I can look for one. David Ogara, where are you? My classmate. At least you're an advocate of the High Court, you can save me. But hey, me, I don't want to say. But in my mind, I know. I'll tell you off the air.
Yeah,
I'll tell you off the air.
No, we can't say. That is the puzzle. It is for you to
Yes.
unpuzzle it. So you
Right.
think on that. But I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
why would a senior political leader go so low, basically, to be begging? Because I'm imagining they have a source of income coming in. Like, where does it go? Is it the lifestyle that he's living beyond his means?
Yeah.
Is it that he got into debt? Because it's a he. I believe it's the man, yeah, so it's a he.
Boy.
So,
Boy.
why?
Man.
What is wrong, man? These things you'd expect in qua celebrities, or we know they have
Influencers.
influencers. Wameteseka, wameboro here and there because they have such a certain image that they need to maintain in the public. But a political leader, why?
Maybe he stole the money and
Where?
EFCC claimed every penny that. I'm sure this politician was ousted from his position. He must have been ousted, and we know if you were to just do a whole roundup. I'll tell you who that person is, by the way. I know him very well, not in person, but from these setups of political conversation.
Okay.
He was ousted out of office. Can I give you a hint? Kiambu Road tuko hivyo, kenda tu hivyo polepole tu, those lines, so Kiambu Road.
Opposition leader.
And now he's joined the opposition.
Okay. I'm trying to get it.
He's appearing a lot in the press briefings, just standing behind them.
Okay, all right. I think, we might get it. If you didn't get it, forget about it.
Yes. But saizi sina lawyer.
Kuna mtu ananiwhisperi hapa, lakini I will not be tempted to mention names. I cannot be sued.
Yeah.
But out here, be careful. Be careful with how you spend your money. I think hakuna haja ya kuimpress people, and then you end up struggling. You end up borrowing. You ruin your name. Because hata kwa Bible imesema a good name is better than,
a good perfume.
Yeah, than perfume. It's a good name is valuable, so you better have a good reputation out here. Ukisharibiwa hivi, kila mtu anakutoka. Even just in our circles, whatever status of life, mtu akikujulikana wewe tu ni ule wa kuombaomba, people will try to avoid you at some point. They will help you, but it gets to a point now people will start avoiding you. Ukijulikana wewe ni ule tu wa kusumbua, people now, it spoils your reputation. So you guard your reputation at all costs.
But I think they embezzled funds. That is, in fact, the reason why they were ousted out of office. It's because of graft. And so EACC ikafanya ile kitu, so
So hapo ndio wakapatikana.
My bad.
It's their fault anyway. So now we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be coming back with some politics. So stay with us a lot. We're going to look at some of the newspaper dailies to see what's going on. So keep it locked right here. The hashtag is Why the Morning at Y254 channel. My personal handle is at Stephanie Ayeta and
at Brian Sako 101.
See you.
Y254. Imagine.
Comando, wambie sisi ndo vipenzi komando. Komando, wambie sisi ndo vipenzi komando.
Inakuwaje? Ni kila Jumatatu kutokea saa 1 dakika 5 hadi 3:30. Ndio unafahamu sisi ni makomando wa Afrika Mashariki ambao tunakupa kipindi chenye mapozi, tunatazama na mapozi ya kwako. Wanasema kwamba you can call me Kenny at Kendrelby.
Wagwang, my name is DJ Kuch. Pale kwenye chiki na kupatia mziki zote za East Africa, old school, new school, zote ziko ndani. We can link up at DJ Kuch. Boom.
And of course with me, Kalandu Musimi, I'll be giving you all the entertaining stories in East Africa. Nitakuwa nikuambia nani amefanya nini, kwa nini na akiwa na nani.
Hatuagizi na mabosi, sisi wenyewe mabosi. Wanatobea mikosi, tunalindwa na sagodi pekee.
Our stories shape our future. It's within them that we get to know ourselves.
God always came through in a way that we couldn't even explain. And we came to realize that putting God at the center of it is like everything else will just flow.
Everything. What do you do when push comes to shove?
He was a great man. At that moment, he was supportive. Until 6 months, we went for the first surgery.
That's why here on The Nest, we tell you these stories to empower you and shape your parenting. Every Tuesday from 7:30 p.m. only on Y254.
This week on The Buzz, we have some juicy entertainment news for you.
Praise the living God. I am a star. It's a must rise and shine.
Find out which celebrities were nominated for the Grammys this year. We will highlight a rom-com titled The Contract.
That's like the unicorn of man. One in a million.
I'm a senior. I go to Melbourne High.
On Star of the Week, we get to learn about the life story of actor Omari Hardwick.
I was piecing up Regina Hall, so...
Wanna know the trending song of the week?
Mwaka huu, safari hii, mutajua hamujui.
Then tune in on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. with me, Eve Nyaga, for your favorite entertainment show.
Y254. Imagine.
And we are back as promised. So now we want to talk about some politics. State of the nation will be later, but just catching up on what the different dailies has for us, what has been making news over the weekend. A lot has been happening. So with us here, joining me and Sakwa is the Burning Dollar. So let me allow him to introduce himself.
Hello, good morning, Val. Good morning, Sakwa.
Did you just call me Val? Come again.
Sorry.
Come again.
It's a Monday of hangovers. Akili bado imetoka. I'm on Friday with Val. Yeah. But it's a wonderful Monday. Pardon me kindly, Stephanie.
I was thinking about
Akili bado iko weekend, iko Friday.
It's fine.
But good morning. Plus I'm very excited. Now, I feel like these Catholic bishops, the uninyunyizie maji
Bwana.
Yeah, I just feel happy this wonderful morning. Kiburi ni hao Catholic bishops, they are the first people finally to make His Excellency aombe msamaha in public, to take a step back and say, you know what, I heard what they said, and I was like, wow, if our president could be listening to everyone like this. So kakiburi kako hapo juu, maybe it's because I'm a Catholic. Anyway, in the East they call me Dollar. In the West they call me Burning, but my name is Burning Dollar. Across all social media platform, Burning_Dollar.
So yeah, okay, great. Burning Dollar has joined us right here. So a lot is happening. I want to start it off with what Selassie, hiyo jina inanichanganisha, Mumias MP. So what he said this weekend, he alisema ataanguka na opposition leader, should I call him opposition leader, but ataanguka na the Honorable Raila Odinga. So yeah, so Selassie said, Raila Odinga, you cannot bundle ODM MPs, auction them to Kenya Kwanza to push Ruto's agenda in parliament, then start accusing them for failing on their legislative and oversight roles. So this was quite unexpected, I believe, and he trended on Twitter, on X, for some good amount of time. What do you make of it? What do you think about his statement? Let me start with you, Burning Dollar.
So I think Peter Selassie, he has seen that there is no more ODM. Nah, it's every man for himself. So the early the better. So kijitoa sahi mapema, at least you might have the people. Like you saw what happened in Embu. People were chanting Rigiji. Like he has gotten a lot of fame in the Murima than the one he had before, because of what happened to him. So I think Peter Selassie is also trying to remain relevant. And then right now, ODM, it's already in the government, and people are talking a lot of bad things about the government. So I think mapema ndio best. And kujitoa tu mapema.
Anajisort, kujipanga kuangalia how things are.
The early the better.
Okay, what do you think, Sako, about it? His statement was a bit bold, especially that he's from ODM, and that's the ticket that elected him. And who speaks against Raila? For some people on X were kind of a bit violent. On what grounds do you... Hey, Alikame, I'm a part of some harsh comments, as much as he got some good ones as well. What do you think?
First of all, just to clarify, Ecclesiastes 7:2, a good reputation is better than a good perfume. Other versions say fragrance or ointment. So
Pastor
All right,
Sako.
back to the statement, yeah. What I think is, at this point, I think the opposition has a really mild roots. And in terms of vocal voices that are keeping government in check, I think it's time that we start having influential figures to start gathering up. And initially we had proposed people like, Babu Owino, Kazma Makori, if he cares, people like Morara Kebasu, if they can reunite and form opposition, I think that would be incredible. But then also when you look at Baba's history, right now he's fighting for the AUC chairmanship. He's not been able to back these other positions that he's been wanting in government anyways, but now thank God, good heavens, they've allowed him to be, friends with the current, president. And I think when you see some of these leaders saying, they need to keep him in check, because Baba literally holds the brand of opposition in this country. Even borrowing from the speech that, the statement, somebody called it an explosive statement that the Council of Bishops gave. In fact, somebody said they are now the official opposition because they're the ones who are, let's say, keeping the government in check. So I think there's need. And I was watching yesterday a conversation that Jeff and Olive Barrows had on their show with Martha Karua, and there's some very, I'd say, very dicey sentiments that Martha Karua said in terms of, especially when it comes to adhering to the rule of law as opposition, and then separating politics, separation of power, politics, democracy, and the people. So Selassie, and in terms of opposition, I don't see him bearing that strong, brand. But at this point, we can allow people like Morara Kebasu, Kazma Makori. Babu Owino has a really good, say, heavy reputation, yeah? So, Raila Odinga, Babu Owino, but then it's still people from the same region, Western Nyanza. So I think, as well, when you look at the strategy and also the position of our politics in this country, it has always been like, people from the Western region have always been part of opposition most of the time, and especially under the flagship of, Raila Odinga. So I think it's time. But then what he said, I think he spoke as an independent politician, because he also won independently, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he?
So
he was under ODM.
he was under ODM, or
He was
won
under
independently?
ODM.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
It was under ODM.
Because I remember him asking for funds and everything. So, really
Or maybe
questionable.
he was,
but
okay,
yeah.
I'm not quite sure then.
You have talked about brand, and I've remembered an argument we had some time back about KRG the Don. I see Peter Salasya in the pubs, in the clubs, having fun all the time. There is no difference between him and KRG the Don, and yet he makes a good MP.
So what are you saying?
All I'm trying to say is...
We'll definitely check KRG the Don by force.
No, not bringing him by force, but I just compared, he parties, he's an MP. Right now he has started fighting for Kenyans. If he's for real, and then, you never know, even KRG the Don, he might make a good MP or a good politician someday.
But who has sent you?
No, but I just remembered something back.
KRG, but
Or we just decide, and these bishops, actually, from the Catholic, they should, I think, the retired ones should start getting into politics.
What? No, I don't think so. Like, how would they even do that? Calling yao ni huko, kila mtu akona calling yake.
Sini ya kushepard makondo. They still be shepherding us.
Kondo watakuja to church kama hakuna kondo wanapatikana kwa political. Wanakuja to church. So wanaenda church Sunday. So on branding on Selassie, I think from the very start, people knew him for who he was. He has not changed hapo katikati. Like, he has maintained his character. He's been very consistent with his character, if anything, because he was that cynical, but alikuwa a bit comical even when he was being selected to a large extent. But he was chosen because he had a great passion for his people, his constituents. And that's why he was chosen. So in as much as he has these dramas, we remember when he was still a fresh MP, the lady who went to Aksama anataka kumari, he actually met the lady, gave the lady some money. He has tried to, he said he loves Betty Chalo at some point. They met with Betty Chalo. Now he went to say that Huda Mundro. They had some, some issue. Now they are done with Huda Mundro. Now we are seeing him coming at Raila. So I think, he's been very consistent in his character, and people still accepted him for that. So that's his branding. But if you're in a... I think
he needs to tone down. He needs to stop smoking weed. He needs to stop recording videos, acting sheepishly, because he's bearing the brand of a leader. So what is an example he's setting even for other young leaders? Going to clubs, recording yourself TikTok videos and posting on IG. In fact, he's become a meme. No.
No, it is not ideal. In the ideal world, it's not accepted. But don't you
not
think
ideal in terms of a leader, Steph. Steph, this is a leader. This is you're running a whole entire constituency, Steph, and you're smoking weed, recording yourself on camera and sharing.
Our former president used to party.
No. Okay, no.
Even people gave him a name.
But I'm thinking, I'm not saying that it's right what he's doing, because as a leader, you're supposed to be a figure that people can emulate. Because now he's a young leader, then the other young leaders who are also aspiring, they're also aspiring to get to the position that he is. So yes, at his position, he's influencing masses. But again, I think he's, I'm trying to understand him to an extent.
He's living his life.
He has been, from how he was, he came in as a, I'm trying to find a good word to use, not to use the word mshamba, someone who's very, someone help me some good words. But he was coming fresh from the village to the city, to a new position as a leader. So he was coming, because you remember when kulikuwa na some political rallies still back in his place, there's a time he fought with a leader, another leader, I'm forgetting, but
he
it
actually
was
slapped them.
Yeah, it was Silva. No, it wasn't.
It was Osoro and Salasia.
It was?
Back.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, they fought. He slapped him, right?
It was not Sylvanus.
It was not Sylvanus? Yeah, it was an MP from the western side.
It was
a leader from the western side, because Sylvanus is from Kisii.
Yeah.
And actually, I think you're confusing, because Sylvanus, the wrangle he had was with who was it? The leader from his region.
Simbarati.
Is it the Simbarati? Yes, it was with Simbarati. They've always had a conflict, so it's not him. But yes, we saw Salasif, fighting some leader some time back, and that was him. He knew how. That's what he knew, how to handle things. But now trying to make him fit in, I think now the people that tortured him or tortured to be more in the influencing side or more in the comical side than in the leadership. So he's sort of a sensation, and that's what he's going by as his brand, because people know him as that. But now taking the brand, you become more of an influencer than a political leader. So
actually, before we get out of that, I have a question. So are politicians not allowed to have a private life, not allowed to enjoy life?
They're allowed, but not in the public space. No one people can see you, because that's why it's private. So it's private. If you want to drink, you drink privately, So the image that people see you should be an image that's representing the country. If you're the president, an image that's representing your constituents. If you're the MP, your county. If you're the governor, and whatnot. My 2 cents.
You should be her advisor. Salasia, check out.
So moving on.
Stop smoking weed and recording yourself, please. And then laughing all the time. He's always high and just laughing.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. So there's also this, just to pick up on that, on the People Daily front page, they've written, MPs form team to rescue CDF amid Raila onslaught. So that's on page 2. So we are seeing legislators' last-minute effort to save unconstitutional CDF, because the court ruled that the CDF is unconstitutional. So They have constituted 5 legal teams to rescue NGCDF from dying after it was declared unconstitutional by the court. So the 5 members are Otiende Amolo, MP of Rarieda. Let me read the others. We also have Tom Kajwang of Ruaraka, George Murugara of Tharaka, John Makali of Kandunyi, and Mwengi Mutuse of Kibwezi West. So all of them, they're MPs, but they're also lawyers, and they have formed this particular committee to salvage funds the court declared illegal. So for the longest time, the MPs are the ones who have been in charge of CDF and all, but this mandate wants to be taken as it's been declared unconstitutional. So NGCDF has so far received over 522.57 billion cumulatively in the last 20 years since its implementation under former President Kibaki's administration. Said a member who did not want to be quoted. So the member said, "We have told the team to ensure that NGCDF does not die. This one we will fight to the end." So I'm just throwing it in, wondering how this will be, seeing that now it's MPs even against Raila Odinga himself, because now we are seeing Tom Kajwang, Otiende Amolo. These are all MPs aligned to ODM. So I'm trying to get, so addressing the press on Friday, Raila claimed that the lawmakers are to, okay, so let me just get the root of it. So the decision of the lawmakers came hours before ODM leader and former Prime Minister Raila slammed the lawmakers over current standoff on the division revenue bill currently before a mediation committee. So addressing the press on Friday, Raila claimed that the lawmakers are to blame for the impasse. He accused them of plotting a power grab by depriving counties of their dues and instead allocating themselves funds for their NGCDF and government affirmative action. So Raila, in this particular case, is more with the senators than the MPs. So it's a bit of a clash kidogo, and the MPs are saying, we will make sure that we have this NGCDF. We need this money. And what the MPs usually say is their constituents are looking up to them to get this CDF. The children are depending on this money for school fees. So what do you want us to go and tell our constituents when you go back home, especially now when the parliament will be going on recess, probably in the first week of December. So they're going to the constituents, and then next year, January, people are opening schools. So MPs say, what do you want us to give them? Because they will come to us and they need these particular funds. And even for developments in schools, the water, projects, and all these places, projects that they use this money for. But Raila Odinga is saying something different. Yeah.
Yeah, I think county bursaries, they're very important, especially when it comes to now, helping the needy. We're also closing there. In fact, I think university students, I saw in the news bite yesterday, they were giving their sentiments saying that, it has not been a successful academic year because even as we speak, still lecturers are on strike. And when it comes to now things like funding, that includes now county bursaries, I can only imagine how many, say needy families that are entirely and solely depending on, the bursaries. And till now, county funds have not been released. And it means, most of them are in disarray. So I think they need to do something. I think did the president say something about it?
No,
yeah.
He hasn't said anything yet.
Yeah, so I think they need to do something about it.
All right, okay.
Actually talking about bursaries, there's something that I was thinking about. What if the money that is given out on counties for bursaries, all of it just be taken by the government and then be put into education, so there's no more bursaries, there's no more paying school fees, because that money is a lot, and there's free education for everyone. Like literally, for the rich, for the poor, you just go to a public school and you get your free education. Because I see no point the bursaries. This MPs, by the time this money reaches the ground, yeah, it's money that is supposed to be allocated there to help these needy people. But watu wangapi this needy when you usaidika with that money? How many people actually benefit from this money? Because most goes to the people who supported the MPs, the families, the watoto wa, the kids that these MPs are maybe schooling, that needy mwananchi who doesn't have any connection to the MP, do they really get this money?
Well, I think it depends on the MPs. For an area like where where Babuino is the MP, I understand that his constituents are very happy with him because they really get the funding that they need for schooling and whatnot. So I think
but that's one out of
it can't be, you can't really put them under the same umbrella, you know, but yes,
but
some does not
majority of
make
them,
it.
they are not giving out the CDFs.
Okay, so for you're saying that it needs to go to
The education sector, and then free education
Straight.
for everyone in the public schools.
All right.
Yeah, without the money having to go processes.
So
like, just go to school, get your free education.
Without, there won't be any corruption, the money won't be lost
Yeah,
at any
if
point.
the money is given direct to the education sector, I believe even if there will be corruption, then it won't affect the common student, because you will go to school. Even if there was corruption, you don't care, provided the head teachers are given the money, you will just go to school. It will affect in any way. It will just be either teachers striking, yeah, it won't affect the students.
All right, okay. You tell us what you think about it. Hashtag why in the morning. And finally, as we come to a close on this, a conversation that I'll be carrying forward to the State of the Nation interview. What do you think about Thursday? Thursday has a lot because it's going to be a joint parliamentary address by the president. So they're going to be everyone there, the legislature, of course, the executive, I mean, the president is there, and, you know, whatever else, the judiciary. So all of them are going to be in parliament, and people have been going this hashtag Occupy Parliament, you know, which was being used in the past. And to my personal opinion, I don't think people will really occupy Parliament. Of course, there will be heightened security where the president is coming, and that might just be impossible. But what do you think about that particular day? Let me start with you, Sakwa.
I think it's a D-Day because we are now seeing three power heads: judiciary, executive. You've said the legislature as well, yeah. So I think maybe the things that should be at the center is, let's do a spot check. The year is ending. What are the hits and the misses that we've achieved? It's 2 years in office, yeah. So they should do a spot check. And I think the first stirring wound right now that we're dealing with is the issue of taxes. Treasury Cabinet Mbadi, actually, he said there's a proposal to resuscitate facets of the rejected, finance bill. But then when you look at it now, when you bring in things like SHA, the paycheck has really been slim shaded. You remember that lyrics, I think, by Eminem. The paycheck has really been slashed. Kenyans are complaining. There's massive outrage and outcry out there regarding taxes. Last week we were having a conversation about, vertible and non-vertible. In fact, maybe let me just point it out very fast in 30 seconds. Like we are doing radio. Let me get to it. About taxes so far, yes, here it is. There's tax law amendments, by the way, that are being pushed in place, and this will touch on non-resident persons whose income is derived in Kenya, business on digital marketplace as well, e.g. ride-hailing apps, and how people like influencers are coming into play. Remember, this was a very integral part during the contestation of the rejected finance bill. They're now going to even talk about significant economic presence tax that includes taxable profits, 10% gross turnover for businesses, and ICPTs to replace digital service tax. So I think these are some of the sharp shaded spot checks that they should be looking at. Instead of overtaxing, what are the other proposed alternatives, so that we keep everything balanced in terms of even small SMEs. SMEs are literally at the brink of a precipice as we speak.
Yeah.
So I believe taxes should be just there, and share housing levy, they've now said, things like that. So for me, the rest to town now come to now, but hizo
zikuwa hapo kwa priority. Okay, great. What about you, Manu?
So first about the taxes, actually, about the online taxes, I saw CS Mbadi say that they are going to tax the the platforms, not the users, like the way it was in the finance bill. Like right now they are going, of course it's going to affect these content creators, because that means that the platforms will deduct their pay in order to pay the Kenyan tax that will be imposed on them. So somebody said that now they are targeting any app that's an online app.
Wow.
Yeah. And then on Thursday. So on Thursday, a lot may go down. On Thursday may it be that day when the president will come and reduce the taxes, or everything will just stick the way it is. But it's a day that everyone is looking upon, and I'm no prophet, so I really don't know what will go on that day. And I really love Taifa Leo. Taifa Leo, their headline updates Mlima Umeenda. It's a question mark. Je, Mlima Umeenda? And then I see Mbadi has said that Mbadi ahaidi usawa katika ugawi wa pesa, hapa kubadili namna pesa za ustawi nchini zinavyogawika. And then Kithure Kindiki, the naibu wa rais, amesema kuwa tutaheshimu ushauri wa makanisa. So you never know what will happen on Thursday. And then we can see here on the Mlima Umeenda, they say, Taifa Leo, that baada ya mapokezi baridi ya rais katika hafla ya kidini Embu, wadadisi wasema eneo hilo limemtema kisiasa. Hivyo basi hahitaji kuibua mbinu mpya ya kujizoea nafsi. And then under here we have Governor Ayacho Akarangwa. Senator Okoch anaanzisha a debate to remove Governor Ayacho. And then ukimwi huua zaidi wanaume. So men, be very careful. Statistics have shown that a lot of men are dying due to HIV and AIDS.
All right.
Abstain.
Yeah, so there's a lot, and that's basically a brief of Taifa Leo. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back to discuss state of the nation, and we have incredible guests coming up your way. So this was just a teaser of what is to come. So make sure you participate in our online discussion, where we have asked you, J, ni qualities ama behaviors gani who define a mature adult man? Tell us, if you're a man, what do you think makes a mature adult man? If you're a woman, what do you see that makes someone a mature adult man? The hashtag is Why in the Morning at Y254 channel, and Sako will be taking that conversation up at the very tail end of the show. Remember, the hashtag is Why in the Morning at Y254 channel. My personal handle is at Stephanie Ayeta. We also have and Brian Sakwa 101.
Y254. Imagine.
Say bye-bye to FOMO, the fear of missing out, by downloading the KBC online app that gives you access to everything you love. Get the latest news, sports, music, entertainment news, live TV, live radio, and so much more at the palm of your hands. To get the app, simply search KBC Mobile Digital app in your Google Play or App Store and download the app. Catch what you want, anytime, anywhere. Stay connected. Stay ahead with KBC Mobile Digital app.
Comando, wambie sisi ndo vipenzi komando. Komando, wambie sisi ndo vipenzi komando.
Inakuwaje? Ni kila Jumatatu kutokea saa 1:05 hadi 3:30. Ndio unafahamu sisi ni makomando wa Afrika Mashariki, ambao tunakupa kipindi chenye mapozi, tunatazama na mapozi ya kwako. Wanasema kwamba you can call me Kenny at Kendrelby.
Wagwang, my name is DJ Kuch, pale kwenye chiki na kupatia mziki zote za East Africa, old school, new school, zote ziko ndani. We can link up at DJ Kuch. Boom.
And of course with me, Kalondu Musimi, I'll be giving you all the entertaining stories in East Africa. Nitakuwa nikuambia nani amefanya nini, kwa nini na akiwa na nani.
Hatuagizi na mabosi, sisi wenyewe mabosi, wanatobea mikosi, tunalindwa na sagodi pekee.
Chemi za uongo, stories za jaba ndo tingize uongo, ndo bebe kawale tikiza kamongo.
What's up everybody? Have you heard of Bones Nation? We are the latest, most stand-up show in 254.
You know how we do each and every Tuesday, Thursday. Mad vibes, mad music. When you see this face, amazing vibes, pure niceness, mad music. Now always kumbuka wewe ndoko in full control.
I'm unavailable, they know they see me.
I go by the name Feeling Jean.
And I am the beat doctor, DJ Epic, straight out of Gas Chamber DJs. You know how we do.
Of course, catch us every single Tuesday and Thursday from 4 p.m. all the way to 7 p.m. for mad energy, good vibes, and interviews and interactions with your favorite celebrities.
Our stories shape our future. It's within them that we get to know ourselves.
God always came through in a way that we couldn't even explain. And we came to realize that putting God at the center of it is like everything else will just flow.
What do you do when push comes to shove?
He was a great man. At that moment, he was supportive. Until 6 months, we went for the first surgery.
That's why here on The Nest, we tell you these stories to empower you and shape your parenting. Every Tuesday from 7:30 p.m. only on Y254.
Shining in the setting sun like a pearl upon the ocean. Come and feel me, oh feel me. Feelun hai peene ka mausam, tere sang ishq taari hai. Aare marhaba.
This week on The Buzz, we have some juicy entertainment news for you.
Praise the living God. I am a star. It's a must I will rise and shine.
Find out which celebrities were nominated for the Grammys this year. We will highlight a rom-com titled The Contract.
That's like the unicorn of one in a million.
I'm a senior. I go to Melbourne High.
On Star of the Week, we get to learn about the life story of actor Omari Hardwick.
I was piecing up Regina Hall, so...
Wanna know the trending song of the week?
Mwaka huu, safari hii, mutajua hamujui.
Then tune in on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. with me, Eve Nyaga, for your favorite entertainment show. Here on Power Talk Show, we handle conversations of current affairs that directly affect you. We do a deep dive on conversations that involve relationships, mental health, finances, and other trending issues. We also share stories of people who have faced adversaries and managed to overcome them.
I'm a person who tried committing suicide 3 times. Yes, before I reached class 7.
Tune in to Power Talk each and every Thursday at 7:10 p.m. and join in the conversation with me, Cheryl Blessing, using the hashtag Power Talk.
Y254. Imagine. 254. Imagine.
Comando, wambie sisi ndo vipenzi komando. Komando, wambie sisi ndo vipenzi komando.
Inakuwaje? Ni kila Jumatatu kutokea saa 1:05 hadi 3:30. Ndio unafahamu sisi ni makomando wa Afrika Mashariki ambao tunakupa kipindi chenye mapozi, tunatazama na mapozi ya kwako. Wanasema kwamba you can call me Kenny at Kendrelby.
Wagwang, my name is DJ Kuch. Pale kwenye chiki na kupatia mziki zote za East Africa, old school, new school, zote ziko ndani. We can link up at DJ Kuch. Boom.
And of course with me, Kalondu Musimi, I'll be giving you all the entertaining stories in East Africa. Nitakuwa nikuambia nani amefanya nini, kwa nini na akiwa na nani.
Hatuagizi na mabosi, sisi wenyewe mabosi. Wanatobea mikosi, tunalindwa na sagodi pekee.
Chemi za uongo, stories za jaba ndo tingize ubongo, ndo bebe kawalitikiza kamango.
What's up, everybody? Have you heard of Bounce Nation? We are the latest, most stand-up show in 254.
You know how we do each and every Tuesday, Thursday. Mad vibes, mad music. When you see this face, amazing vibes, pure niceness, mad music. Now always kumbuka wewe ndoko in full control.
I'm unavailable, they know they see me.
I go by the name Feeling Jean.
And I am the beat doctor, DJ Epic, straight out of Gas Chamber DJs. You know how we do.
Of course, catch us every single Tuesday and Thursday from 4 p.m. all the way to 7 p.m. for mad energy, good vibes, and interviews and interactions with your favorite celebrities.
Our stories shape our future. It's within them that we get to know ourselves.
God always came through in a way that we couldn't even explain. And we came to realize that putting God at the center of it is like everything else will just flow.
What do you do when push comes to shove?
He was a great man. At that moment, he was supportive. Until 6 months, we went for the first surgery.
That's why here on The Nest, we tell you these stories to empower you and shape your parenting. Every Tuesday from 7:30 p.m. only on Y254.
Shining in the setting sun like a pearl upon the ocean. Come and feel me, oh feel me.
Feelun है पीने का मौसम तेरे संग इश्क तारी है.
This week on The Buzz, we have some juicy entertainment news for you.
Praise the living God. I am a star. It's a must. I will rise and shine.
Find out which celebrities were nominated for the Grammys this year. We will highlight a rom-com titled The Contract.
That's like the unicorn of one in a million.
I'm a senior. I've got a Melbourne High.
On Star of the Week, we get to learn about the life story of actor Omari Hardwick.
I was piecing up Regina Hall, so...
Want to know the trending song of the week?
Mwaka huu, safari hii, mutajua hamujui.
Then tune in on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. with me, Eve Nyaga, for your favorite entertainment show. Here on Power Talk Show, we handle conversations of current affairs that directly affect you. We do a deep dive on conversations that involve relationships, mental health, finances, and other trending issues. We also share stories of people who have faced adversaries and managed to overcome them.
I'm a person who tried committing suicide 3 times. Yes, before I reached class 7.
Tune into Power Talk each and every Thursday at 7:10 p.m. and join in the conversation with me, Cheryl Blessing, using the hashtag Power Talk.
Y254. Imagine.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Now we are on to the discussion on state of the nation. What's really happening in Kenya in the political space, especially over the weekend, what has happened. And we have been joined by some experts to help us in this particular discussion. And one of these faces, or both of them actually, are familiar to you. I'll start with Dr. Kasipul. He's here in the house. Kasipul, karibu sana.
Shukran, but ningependa kubadilisha kidogo, kurekebisha. Niliconvert, sasa naitwa Alhaj Yakub Maalim Weli.
Turudie tena. Pole pole sasa. Rudia pole pole. Alhaj
Yakub Maalim Weli.
Alhaj, hata nikiandika ni kazi. Alhaj
Yakub means Jacob. Lakini sasa kwa nini Islamic wanaita Yakub? Yakub. Ni Yakub, but tunaweka Yakub. And then unasema Maalim. Weli. Weli, W-E-L-I.
Alhaj Yakub Maalim Weli. Nimeipata. Wacha tutarudia hiyo. Wacha tuende tena kwa Peter Njeru. Karibu sana. He's the chairman of Utawala Ward.
Chairman of Utawala Ward. A businessman here in Nairobi.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Glad to have you on the show again.
Thank you too.
All right. So, nimezoea Kasipul, it take some time. So, Alhaj Yakub.
Alhaj. Okay, sema Yakub.
Yes. Yakub iko sawa. So it takes some getting used to kwa sababu all right. So that's your new identity, inspiration.
Yeah.
How was the journey like? Najua story ni different, lakini kuliendaje? What happened?
Unajua decision make, unajua spiritual decisions sio kitu unaweza kuongea. I decided to become a Muslim 4 months ago, converted, and then I traveled to Makkah. So the name Al-Hajj came from Makkah. When you go to Makkah, you come back, you are Al-Hajj. That is a holy land. You go there not to go, like, unaenda kutembea kuona wildlife, no. You go to pray. So I was in Makkah and Medina for 14 days. And then I became Alhaj Yakub Maalim Weli.
Okay.
I'm proud to be Muslim. And yeah,
all right.
That's Kasipul for you. Alhaj Yakub.
So no
Yakub means Jacob. And of course it's Jacob. Jacob ni mtu alibarikiwa hata kwa Biblia. Maalim Weli is like a spiritual father to me. When I joined Muslim, he welcomed me and he gave me the name Maalim Weli.
All right.
So Kevin Onyango Vyambo.
Umekata kabisa.
Nimekata. In fact, naanza process hata kubadilisha documents. Because nataka ni 2027 kwa mapenzi ya Mwenyezi Mungu, God willing, I'll become the governor of Nairobi.
Wow.
So lazima mkienda pale kwa ballot box mnakutana na Alhaj Yakub Maalim Weli. inshallah.
Allah. Okay. So tuzoee hiyo jina.
Mapema
ndio kwa ballot watu
zoea gavana wako mapema.
Sasa zoea gavana wako mapema.
Yeah.
Okay, acha tuingie kwa what's happening and tuambie now even your perspective as an aspirant, a hopeful for 2027. Kenya, there's been a lot happening in the political space. Kumekuwa na over the weekend, bishops, they sat down na wakasema what the president is doing and the government is that they are lying to Kenyans na hawako in touch with what the people on ground are facing. Wakongelea mambo ya SHA, you know, a lot of things. Now, the bishop said SHA itolewe hata irudishwe NHIF, among many other things that they said. And tena on Sunday, was it on Sunday? On Saturday, rather, tukapatana the bishops during, I think, an ordination. Walikuwa wote. We saw the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, took on a President Ruto, the deputy president, Kithure Kindiki. I interchanged the two. And the former deputy president, again, Rigiji, was also there. Wote walipatana. It was quite the scene. Now, you know, what the former president said, kazi yake sasa ni kuona TV na kusikiza radio. And also Rigiji echoed the same thing. So what is your own perspective on what is happening in the country? Acha nianze na wewe Peter.
Yeah, the happening in the country are an indication of the true status on the ground. There is clearly a disconnect in information flow from the top to bottom, and also from bottom up. Both sides, there is no proper flow of information. When we take a review of the situations of last week, it started by the conference of bishops of Catholic churches, who also gave a scorecard in their view concerning the performance of the government. And it was a gloomy picture that they painted to the country, and rightfully so, in view of the available information. Then on Saturday, there was the meeting in Embu for all the current and former leaders, like you have rightfully observed. The sitting president was there with his deputy, Professor Kithure Kindiki. The former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, with the former vice president, Rigiji, the immediate former vice president, also there. So it was a powerful delegation. When you look at the Catholic Church, there were all the leadership of the Catholic Church, including a representative from Rome. So that was the most powerful delegation of spiritual leaders that there can be, talking about the Catholic denomination. And the spirit that oozed from that gathering on Saturday also painted a gloomy picture. Needless to say, the Wananchi were there, the Catholic faithfuls, who also had a chance to express their frustrations and appreciation to both our current and former leadership. There was a clear signal that all is not well on the ground, and rightfully so. Every corner of the country is at pain because of the hard economic times, because of the continued government policies that seem to put more pressure on the available very little income to every household. And therefore, because there is an information gap, there is a knowledge gap between the leadership and the common citizen, that whatever the leadership of the country is trying to achieve is not clear to the common Mwananchi, and the expectation of Mwananchi is not clear to the leadership. And this was correctly said by the president when we had the Gen Z demonstrations against the Finance Bill 2024-2025, and which led to the withdrawal of the bill. The president himself agreed that he was not fully briefed, that he was not aware what was happening on the ground, that the general citizen, majority of them were against this bill. And in accepting and aligning himself to what the citizens wanted, he withdrew that bill totally.
Yes.
So what I want to observe is that I have been very supportive to our government, and I have been watching what has been happened. I want to observe before this country this morning that our leadership has the best intentions. President Ruto wants the best for the country. He wants the country to move forward. He wants us to overcome the burden of debts that were borrowed before he came into power. But the weakness we have is that the communication of his intention and strategies is not trickling effectively down to the common mwananchi so that we can buy in to his ideologies and agenda. And then the hardship on the ground, the nature of it, the reduced income per family, the high taxes that has depleted the little income that was there, has made every home unable to meet their basic supplies, basic needs. The high taxation and now the additional taxes, talk about the housing levy, talk about the this SHA, Social Health Insurance Fund, and the Social Health Agency, that 1.5%, 2.5%, talk about NSSF now, which has also brought a fair burden to those that are in the high income bracket. So all this information, all these taxes are raiding onto an already low income. And therefore, when you look at the net take-home wage for every Kenyan, it has gone down. In my view, what should have happened, first of all, we should have prepared ground for higher taxation. Then we introduce the high tax once people have more income, more money in their pocket. But you cannot introduce tax first, hoping that the economy will grow and people will earn more. Because these people does not have the luxury of time to pay more and wait to reap in future. We would rather reap now to be able to afford today's Sukuma Wiki than be unable to afford today's Sukuma Wiki with an intention or a hope of being able to afford chicken 5-10 years to come. So that's the mismatch I'm seeing, that there's no proper appreciation of the real potential of the ordinary person to be able to meet the needs of these increased taxes, in my view.
So that is well said. So you feel that the taxes are too much on the people and the government has not implemented this the right way, right? And I'll get back to you to give more, to expound on it better. But Kasipu, what is your view, unaonaje, what the government is doing, what the people are saying, political climate, what is your take?
First of all, wacha nishukuru sana for the first time, the clergy, the religion leaders, for the first time wameongea. Tumekuwa tukiingojea sana. Way back, kuanzia majenzi, walikuwa wamenyamaza, hawaongei. I don't know what happened. But for the first time ever, tunaona wanatoka wanasema kwamba, wana point out wanasema ini wrong, ini right. Tuli expect hiyo kutoka kwao kama viongozi wa dini. But nataka nikumbushe religion leaders ni ya kwamba hii ni collective responsibility. Huwezi kwenda kuambia president ya kwamba wewe umefail hii nchi. Kuna government, kuna legislator ni independent institution. Kuna hii ya koti inaitwa judiciary. Ni independent. Sasa tuna devolution ambapo magovernors pia wako huko chini wanapewa budget. Tuko na ma MPs, tuko na ma MCAs. Now, tukifocus kwa president peke yake, tunaambia president nchi imeharibika. Unasahau ya kwamba pia kuna watu ambao president hayuko in control of them. Kama ma governors, kama ma MPs, and nobody is talking about these people. Wamekaa tu wametulia wanaangalia. I was disappointed. There is an investor who came all the way from Dubai. I brought him here with a private jet. He wanted to invest heavily. One of the staff mentioned your county. Na alikuwa ana pump in billions and billions of shillings. He flew in Nairobi, tukachukua chopa, tukaenda tukamwona. Tukakaa one on one tukaongea, jamaa akasema 70% mtaprocure hapa local, 30 kwa sababu tunataka tumit ile nini yetu tutatoa nje, but I'm going to pump in money na to make sure kwamba tume create employment ya vijana over 1000 to 2000 youths kwa waandikwe kwa hiyo construction, and then kuna wenye kwa waandikwe kwa hiyo hoteli na kufanya kazi. Kitu nye governor alituuliza kama tumeketi pale, what is in for me?
Wow. Okay.
Problem is not the president. Problem ni leaders wote wenye wako, wenye tumeelect sisi. Na tukaweka kwa hizo viti. Na tukaamuka asubuhi tukawapelekea kura kwa sababu of political party, kwa sababu huyu ni mtoto wa aunti yetu, kwa sababu huyu ni clan wetu, kwa sababu huyu ni tribe yangu. We have failed. Na hii nchi imeangushwa not na viongozi, na nyinyi wenye mnawachagua. Unapata point? Kesho Kasipula akisema anasimama kura, atasema wewe clan yako ni gani? Who is your father? Wewe mbona tunakujua tu wewe ni mtu wa social media, mbona hauna ya kutupea 1500 ya kutupea? But you don't elect leaders based on ile kitu nye wanaweza kufanyia wananchi. So wacha kucomplain kama mwananchi. Wewe ndo umejifail mwenyewe. Umia mpaka 2027, make decisions ni right, vote for the right leaders, na inatosha hivyo. So every day you wake up in the morning mnasema bibi akikunyima kwa nyumba ni president amefanya. Ukipenduka unaendesha baiskeli, umepiga portal, umeanguka chini, president amefanya. Let's not to blame president, to blame wao viongozi wenu, wale governor wamefanya nini? MP wako amefanya nini? MCA wako amefanya nini? Huyu cabinet mwenye mlisukuma mkasema huyu ni kabila yetu, lazima muweke kwa cabinet, amefanya nini kama cabinet?
Lakini sasa tukiangalia hiyo, isn't the president, isn't he the boss of these others? Isn't he the overall leader when you tunaangalia and make sure that these people are in check? And for the CSs, Sini, it's the president who has selected them, appointed them for those particular positions. Now they are, as much as yes, they have they're accountable to the people directly, but they're also accountable to the president. What are you doing in your county? What are you doing in your constituency? Things are not working. The president should make sure, because he is the vision bearer of the government. So don't you think ni right, even the clergy, you blame the president, your government is not working, you are lying to the people, because the president we will do this and this and this, but they have not seen the president doing this and this and that, because maybe his system is not working for the people.
The system is not working because inaanza kutoka chini. Unapata point? A president anaweza kucontrol governor, kama ukijua hivyo, na akijaribu kumcontrol ama kujaribu kuniona sema kwamba this is political, unapiga mtu vita. President anaweza control to cabinet secretaries, wenye bado hata sasa kwa hii broad based government bado ukimtoa bado kuna vita itatokezea. What I'm saying is this, hii kitu ni vile narudi back kwa hiyo kitu tunaongelea, ni ya kwamba wale viongozi ambao you people have elected, mkiwasifia, mkiwapenda, labda alikuja amenyoa ndevu vizuri kama wasichana mkampigia kura, labda kuna vile mmesema kwa kuna dimples mkampigia kura kwa sababu sitaki ku mention jina. Wakiwa fail, stop blaming the president.
Okay.
And I'm not being like na support president at no hapana. There is a leader in Tanzania anaitwa RC Paul Makonda. Alikuwa banned ku travel in the US because alisema hasupport tabia yenye inaitwa, wacha niseme, ushoga. And I stood firm. Na akamwambia why? Kwa sababu watu wanatamani kwenda Marekani sana. Wewe mbona utamani? Akasema siku nyako anapigana na hawa watu, mtoto akwanga amezaa mtoto, lakini akajiuliza maswali ya kwamba kesho mimi nikezaa mtoto mwanaume, alafu akuja amepaka lipstick na amebeba high heels na amebeba kibeti na ameleta mwanaume mwenzake kwa nyumba, anasema daddy ndo husband wangu, how will I feel? I'd rather lose kwenda Amerika ambao ni Marekani kuliko ni support kitu kama hiyo. Viongozi wetu wako hapa Kenya wenye wanaanza kusimama waseme ya kwamba tunataka kupigana na corruption. Afadhali nipoteze kitu yote nipigane na corruption. Afadhali nipoteze kitu yote nisaidie wananchi. Wao wana ubinafsi. Na hiyo ubinafsi hatuwa blame kwa sababu wewe ulishapewa pesa yako 1000 bob na ukavote So stop blaming. Hii tusikae hapa tuongee kizungu mingi, tuchanganye mambo hivi, tuweke hivi pole pole. No. Kitu nye iko ni ya kwamba shida inaanza na wewe kama mpiga kura. Na shida hata tukikaa hapa tuiongee, miaka nenda kalenda, miaka rudi, kama tutaanza na wewe kwa kuchagua the right MCA, kwa kuchagua the right MP, kwa kuchagua the right governor, senator, women rep na president, then tutaongea maneno kama kawaida. Na ndo maana leo hii tunaongea, leo hii Tanzania iko mbele ya Kenya.
Tanzania iko mbele. Hiyo tutarudi. Hiyo lazima tutarudi. So according to my data, Kenya na jet iko mbele as much as tuna complain, lakini tutarudi tuambie reason yako ni gani. Peter, what do you think of what Yakub has said on all these matters? Do you think that the people are the ones to blame for the state of the nation? Because that's what he has alluded to. Ni sisi tuliwachagua, so tusi-complain mpaka 2027. Mambo ya maandamano, watu watulie. Mambo ya kusema president is lying, watu wa relax. We chose
Yakub has raised very fundamental issues. And in my perspective, there are areas of convergence between my viewpoint and his viewpoint. There are also areas of divergence between my viewpoint and his viewpoint. Where we converge is that the leadership we have is a reflection of our society. Better said that we are the people that put the leadership we have in place because they reflected our aspirations. And therefore, it is not very wise for us to again be on overdrive to castigate that which we chose for ourselves. And at that point, I really agree with what Yakub is saying. However, the presidency is a symbol of national unity and also reflects the aspirations of our country. And so again, we may not exonerate our president and the entire presidency and all leadership from the things we are experiencing as a nation, because the policies we are finding is actually at the forefront of driving them for a good reason. For example, when you look at the housing levy, the 1.5%, then onto that you add the NHIF, or rather the SHIF levy, 2.75%. That gives us 4.25% deduction. Then on that you add NSSF, which is 6%. That gives us 10.25%. So that deduction is quite high in view of the fact that our income has not proportionately grown to that level. And for us to afford that, it would mean that our income has not just grown proportionally to that level, should have grown more, so that after deduction, we also get an increase in our net take home. And that's what I mentioned when we started this talk, that first we needed to have made sure the economy has improved somehow, and the net take home for everyone has increased, so that then we start incrementally introducing more taxes. That would have been very good idea. And therefore, for those decisions, I may not entirely want to exonerate the president from them, but I would want to put him in it because everything rises and falls on leadership. Consequently also, I would want to observe that the president is a vision bearer. Vision bearer is never all the time the implementer of the vision. Around him there is a team, group of consultants and advisors who are supposed to tell him, His Excellency, yes, we want to achieve this, but we may not be able to achieve this within this financial year, within the next 2 or 3 financial years because of 1, 2, 3. To lay the foundation for this vision that we have to begin here. We have to begin here systematically for this number of time. Once these results are realized, we introduce this tax. Once these are realized, to introduce, and the tax, you don't just drop it like just drop from heaven. You start small and you grow it incrementally year after year. So we needed to have come probably with a blueprint for 50 years and systematically start putting the foundation now. We may not start building now. We need to start doing the foundation. Remember, when you're doing the foundation, you're not going up. You start going down. And when you go down, when you look at the depth of the foundation, you can always tell the height of that building. The deeper the foundation, the higher the building. And therefore, our president has great vision for this country. He wants the best. for this country. You want us to be in the leagues of Singapore and Malaysia. You want us to move even to the first world. But how long can we realize that? That question can only be answered by people who are experts in that area of economic development. It is not right to go to South Africa, see what they are doing today, and import it to Kenya today. They started 50 years ago to be where they are today. So where do we start as Kenyans? That's the question that the people around the president have not been able to effectively explain to him so that we have a clear way forward that will help the country to move forward in a way that every citizen is happy. So in my view, I disagree with Yakub that the president should not be held accountable. I disagree. But I agree that we need to have a structured approach to the things that we're seeing being done very quickly with an intention of wanting to have instant results. And I don't blame the president for that. I blame his economic advisors.
Okay. So you don't blame the president, you blame his economic advisors
and before
for
I close,
pushing things.
In the last show that I was here, I put the blame on taxes squarely on the former CAs for finance, Professor Jigona Ndungo. And less than 3 weeks later, he was fired. So the problem is not the president. The problem is that President Ears has not been given proper advice by those around him.
Okay, so you're saying the president is not the problem, it's the people around him, the advisors around him. And Yakub has said the problem is not the president, the problem is the people who elected the leaders.
I also observed that our leadership is a reflection of ourselves because we are the people that elected. So again, according to Yakub, we agree on that point.
Okay, so still the blame is still on the people who elected these leaders.
Yes.
Now, if the people want a change, and that's what people wanted in June when they rejected the finance bill, people came out and went to the streets, and it was dropped. And now people are still complaining. I want to bring Yakub into this. So when you go on X, you'll find a hashtag Occupy Parliament trending for 21st. And we know very well that on 21st is when the president is going to give a joint parliamentary address to the nation. So what are your thoughts on this? Are people really realistic on going out for maandamano ama watu wangoje bado mpaka 2027 Yakub?
Unajua my sister, acha nikwambie mimi ni victim mkubwa sana wa Gen Z. Kwa sababu you remember very well, I lost even my brand together with my brother KRG the Don. Sisi ndo watu ambao tulisema no, we're not going to support this. Going out there, mwende mpigwe risasi, mumwage damu, sisi hatuko hapo. And tuli lose my fans. Lakini with the time walirudi kwa sababu walijua watu wako sober na wanafikiria. During Gen Z demonstration tulikuanga na mambo mawili. Twende kwa street, tuambie mafans wetu twendeni kwa street. Na wangetoka kwa sababu trust me, brand yenye ilikuanga na lead by then ni mimi na KRG the Don. Na hata bado kama after hiyo bado sisi ni wazito. Not only in Kenya but outside Kenya, ukienda Congo, ukienda Tanzania, bado sisi ni wazimbiti. And we had that conversation na KRG, tukasema to lead our watoto waende kwa street, wapigwe risasi, wafanye kitu ambao haifai, ama tukae tuambia kwamba msiende kwa street. We made that decision na tukasema hatu support kwenda kwa demonstration. Demonstration inaleta hasara, inaleta biashara kufungwa, inaleta umwagaji wa damu. Tukasema no, wewe kama ni fan wetu, kama unataka kutuacha tuache, wewe nenda. I'm not supporting anything to do with demonstration. Kwa sababu tufanye demonstration, turudi kitu nye tumetengeneza for 2 years inamalizwa na 1 day. Ama maisha mtoto wa mtu ipotee kwa sababu Kasipula nataka kukua na jina. I'm a parent, I have kids. Siko tayari kushika damu kwa mkono wangu, but I'm ready to lose my name or my brand. kwa sababu it's not about Kasipul akuwe na jina kubwa alafu nizae watoto ambao wanakuwa mashoga, watoto ambao wanatumia cocaine, wanakuwa useless, wanatoa mate kwa sababu nilimwaga damu ya mtoto wa mtu kwa street. Unapatia point? The best way, kama unasikia umeudhika imekufika kwa koo, tuko na 2 years. Make the right decision that you want to make. Enda kwa ballot. Chukua kura hiyo mbio nyoko nayo. Chukua nao kura.
Okay.
Enda upige laini na vote ule kiongozi una feel ni kiongozi bora zaidi ya huyu mwenye uko nayo. Unapatia point? Lakini twende president anaenda ku address the nation. Tumeenda parliament. Next itakuwa ni nini? Tuingie hiyo parliament. And then kuna askari ambaye ana protect ya kwamba hii parliament watu wasiingie. Amuvunje hiyo gate. Next ni nini? Risasi inalia. Are you ready to lose your sister? Are you ready to lose your brother? Are you ready to lose your relative because ya demonstration? Hakuna inchi ambao kuna kwanga na vita inasimama. Go to Congo. Uwaulize vita ni nini, watakwambia ndo tunaijua paka leo hii. Hakuna stability. Enda Rwanda tu jaribu kusema wewe ni Mtusi ama Mhutu. Utamalizwa kwa sababu wanaume walichinjwa over 1 million. Today tuna experience ya kwamba in Rwanda the only place, the only country in East Africa out of wasichana 9 unapata 6 ni bikira, 3 ndo wametembea mileage. Inamaanisha kuna wanaume kwa hiyo nchi. Unapatia point? Unapatia point? Wacha kucheka yenda. So yote 5-9 ni ya kwamba watu walichinjwa na wanajua shida ya vita ni nini. Hii Tanzania hii waliingia tu vita kidogo na Uganda. Walijua uzito kitu ya 1 year, kitu ya some months ilijengwa na 10 years kurudisha. Paka Nyerere akasema kumbe vita sio kitu mzuri. Hakuna siku nye vita itazaa kitu ya maana. Na demonstration ni nini? Si ni kuingia kupiga kelele, watu wakae kwa nyumba wasifanye biashara, wewe usitoke kuja hapa hivi kutangaza. At the end of the day utarudi kukula demonstration. So mimi ninasema na tuko ready ku lose brand. Ni ya kwamba tuache hii maneno ku demonstrate kwenda kwa street. Chukua time yako, 2 years hautakufa. Tulia, ngojea ballot box, ungoje 2027. Na kitu ya kushangaza, vijana ambao ni watoto wetu ambao wanatoka pale nje, siku ya kura mimi nikipiga line siwaonangi. We want our right. We want our right. Wewe mtoto mwenye hujai kupiga takuru, umelala kwa sofa set ya mamako for the past 4 years. Hata una kura. Unaenda kupigania right gani ambao unasema unaenda kupigania? Na wewe mwenyewe hujai chukua takuru ukasema kwamba leo nataka ku make sure ya kwamba Kasipul amenichosha na nataka kumfundisha adabu kwa debe. Niende nipige kura na ni make right decision. So mimi siku kwa hiyo maneno 21st hiyo kwenda kwa barabara hai solve anything. Uko na mtandao, wewe ongea kwenye mitandao. Na mitandao siku hizi ni very powerful hata kushinda kwa street. Na pia tukiongea tu exercise nidhamu. Kumbuka ukitusi president, kumbuka ukitusi kiongozi yote, kumbuka ni baba mtu. Tukue na respect kidogo pale kwenye mitandao. Kuna vitu usiongee kama unatafuta laana. Kama mtoto mwenye uko pale nyumbani, mtu akitusi babako utafikiria utasikiaje? Naona vijana wadogo wanaandika we nini, mimi nimetusiwa na watu wengi. Nikienda pale hivyo chini nikiangalia naona mtoto wa 16 years, mtoto rika ya mtoto wangu. Labda saa nyingine hata hajui, labda akiambiwa na mama yake, labda mimi ndo baba yake kwa vile mwenye anajua baba mtoto ni mama. Labda hajui. Sasa wewe unatafuta laana kwa Kasipul. Na labda saa nyingine Kasipul alicheza muziki na mama yako. So tuheshimiane na tutembee vizuri na heshima na tungojee kiboko mzuri ya viongozi ni 2027. Na ndio unaonanga wanakuja kuomba kura, wanatembea paka wanatembea na tumbo wanaomba kura. Sasa anatembea na tumbo akikwambia naomba kura, unamwambia sasa sikiliza, tuongee tutakaje. La sio hivyo vimba na upige kura kiongozi ambao wewe unamtambua. Lakini hizi demonstration tuachane nazo.
Watu wa relax.
Watu wa relax.
So demonstration for you it's a no. Watu wangoje mpaka 2027. Na okay, so to you Peter, kuna just on what Kasipul has said or Yakub. So people are saying that it's their right to demonstrate. Iko kwa constitution, they should be demonstrating when they feel that they are suppressed and things are not working for them. They need it communicated. And when maandamano was going on, they said it's a peaceful demonstration. They carried water and a flag, and that's how they went. And of course, in between kulikuwa na wale watu walikam kuingililia kati na, you know, they looted and all that. But people feel like if they do not do this, then some right is taken away from them. What is your point of view? Ama, you agree with what you're
Good question. I am a firm proponent, a firm believer in the rule of law. And our constitution allows for peaceful demonstration and picketing. And this was very clearly said by the former CS for Interior, now the current Deputy President, Kithure Kindiki, that peaceful demonstration and picketing will actually have protection from the security agents. And what we experienced during the recent Gen Z demonstrations, that was not peaceful, it was not picketing, it was violence. And the reason for that is because though it started as peaceful, genuine demonstrators wanting to express their opinion, pass a message to our leadership, it got infiltrated by goons and crooks and gangsters. And the net effect was loss of property, loss of life, and general violence across the country. And the police had no option but to swing into action and stop that. And we also saw that there was also an attempt to bring the military into the city to restore peace. And therefore, having learned from that experience, knowing that picketing and demonstration can begin as peaceful, and later goons and thieves and crooks and gangsters infiltrate to start now causing mayhem and destruction, it makes no sense to imagine we can still start walking the same route again as a country. And therefore, from where I stand, I vigorously resist the idea of demonstration on Thursday. The timing for that is also not wise, because in the same day, the president is scheduled to address the nation from the parliament building. And when demonstrators say they want to occupy parliament, I think they are clearly trying to send a signal that they have a thirst for violence and that they have a thirst for that which is not lawful, because it would be, it may have the same DNA as what we experienced last June. And therefore, I would encourage all the young people, I have teenagers and youth in my house, I would encourage them not to make an attempt of stepping out, going to occupy parliament or any other place in the name of demonstration, because the risk of goons taking advantage of their presence and causing more trouble. And when police come in, they will not know this is the goon and this is the innocent demonstrator. All of them will be treated equally. During the last demonstration for Gen Z, I spoke to my children, and I have some influence around my community where I live. I told them that it makes no point to demonstrate. If we have issues, let us air them through the leadership. From the grassroots, we have elected leaders. We have MCAs, we have members of parliament, we have governors, we have, local administrations. Let's take our grievances to them. But let's not go to town to cause mayhem, to mix with people, fundraising people's business. Imagine you have a small business at River Road, and you've borrowed, say, 100K from a microfinance institution to put that business. But simply because people are not happy with the finance bill, they come and vandalize your business. They steal all your funds, and you have nothing. Tomorrow, your creditor wants to be paid. What do? I think that's climax of ignorance to participate in such events. And I would encourage every young person to really detest and refuse to be used in this manner.
Okay.
Then talk about tax payment. I am a taxpayer. I have investment, I have employees, and my business is a good corporate citizen. I have every legitimacy to advocate for picketing and demonstrations. But I can assure you, majority of those people that are saying, let's go demonstrate because of high tax, they are not even taxpayers. They are goons. They are, people who are not good corporate citizens, but they can come and demonstrate. So the intention is not to demonstrate. The intention is to use it as an avenue to cause destruction and mayhem in the city.
All right. So you're saying a majority do not have the right cause in mind. They want to cause destruction. All right, so you can give your comments on this conversation, what you think. The hashtag is Why in the Morning. And to you, Jacob, so we have seen the president making statements, and people almost immediately online memes zinatokea, you know, one or two things, and it's painted this picture that the president is a liar, you know, even what he said over the weekend, you know, after what the bishop said, and now people say that he's lying, you know, on the road he said he'll build, and all that. So now on Thursday, he's supposed to make a statement, the address that he's going to make in Parliament. If you were to advise the president, what would you have him tell the public, and how would you have him tell the public so that it can be taken in good light?
You know, I'm not worth advising the president. Hiyo siwezi kudanganya. I'm just loyal. I'm just loyal to the president, and I believe that the president akona mipango fiti sana ya Wakenya. Of course kumekuwa na outbreak ya uongo. Na kila mtu, especially wanaume, wote wanadanganya sana. Kuna outbreak, kuna disease.
So outbreak ya uongo ni
kuna outbreak, not with the president. Not with the president. Kuna uongo tu, outbreak ya uongo ambao
Kenya tu.
If you go and mheshimiwa, kaa chini na watoto wa kike, watakwambia wanaume ndo wanadanganya sasa. Kuna outbreak ile mbaya sana. Unapata tu mwanaume anaamuka asubuhi anasema kwamba kuna container yangu inatoka Mombasa, na hajai hata kanyaga Mombasa yeye mwenyewe, ama anadanganya msichana na mwambie unajua umekaa hapa Kayole siku mingi, kuna deal yangu ikiivana na kupeleka Lavington. Kuna outbreak ya uongo. Ni lazima watu wamezee dawa, na ni dawa lazima ikuwe, and this is very serious. And I want also to tell the minister, the cabinet secretary for health, I don't know, ni mwanamke ama ni mwanaume?
Is a lady.
Tafadhali treat kitu emergency. Kama kuna dawa nya watu wanaweza kumeza, wanaume ya uongo, watu wanadanganya. Watu wanadanganya. Kuna outbreak tu ya uongo. Yani itu iko, hiyo iko. Watu wanadanganya to an extent paka tunaona ni kitu nye sasa imekuwa fun. Ukisikia watu wanasema uongo, wao pia ni wao. Ukiona watu wanasema kila kitu uongo, wamejua wao ndo wanadanganya. Sasa wanajua pia wakiambiwa ni uongo. Unapata hiyo point? So hiki kitu tutitiwe na ni kitu nye lazima tutitiwe kabisa. Watu kama wanaweza kuachilia kwanza malaria ingoje, wanaume wameze dawa ya uongo wapunguze. Na tulikuwa tunaongea na rafiki yangu anaitwa DJ Shiti. Akaniambia tafuteni madaktari. Waangalie vile hiyo kesi tatibiwaje. Because kuna uongo kwa viongozi wa dini, kuna uongo kwa viongozi ambao ni viongozi wa kisiasa, kuna uongo kwa wanaume tu wenye wanatembea town, kuna uongo na nyinyi wanawake mnaweza kutuambia, mnaweza attest ya kwamba kitu nyinyi nasema ni ukweli. Uongo. Ala sasa tumetokana uongo, vitu ambazo wanawake wanafanya kitu inaitwa fitina. Sasa wanaume ndio siku hizo wanaipiga sasa kushinda wanawake. Kushinda wanawake.
Unaona vile ananiuliza pia hiyo uongo iko kwako pia, wewe pia ni a victim.
Unajua mimi nilishaijua na nikajimezea dawa. Sasa nakwambia kuna outbreak ya uongo. So naweza tukwambia, naweza kuomba Rais William Samoei Ruto ya kwamba nchi imewaka moto, na tunajua una nia mzuri na watu wa Kenya, lakini it's unfortunate that foundation ni iko msingi ambao iko lazima you prove to these people that you're not lying. Na ni kitu ambao imeletwa na viongozi wengine, na kwa ile previous government nilitoka imechangia leo hii, kwa sababu utapata kuna vitu zilifanyika kwa ile previous government na kwa sababu during campaign aliahidi kwa furaha na labda haijakuwa implemented, sasa ndio inaingia sasa ni uongo. Fanya kitu yenye right. Hata wakikwambia ni uongo, wewe fanya, waambie, alafu uombe Mwenyezi Mungu akupe nguvu uitimize. Muda ni msema kweli, time will tell. Mtu akikwambia nakupenda sana yeta, mpe time. Akikudanganya akwambia nakupenda yeta, anaweza kufa juu yako, give that person time. ndo utajua the true color of that person. Kama anakupenda ataweka ring kwa mkono yako. Kama akupendi atapita na beshte yako. So it is just a matter of time.
Lakini sasa watu wengine wanasema they don't have the luxury of time, because as time moves by, things are, deteriorating, things are getting expensive, people are, maisha inakuwa ngumu.
Naweza kuambia serikali sio kama fundi wa cherehani ambao unampelekea nguo unamwambia kesho naenda nao wedding ama Friday naenda nao wedding itengeneze. No. Kila kitu kwa serikali ina mikakati. Tunaweza mnyonge lakini haki yake mpe. Ni miaka ngapi tangu William Samoei Ruto achukua uongozi? How many years? 2 years. Na amechukua uongozi kwa serikali ilikuwa 10 years ile ilipita, ambapo alikuwa deputy na hakuanga na make decision. So I think tutakuwa wachoyo wa radhi. Hata ukileta mwingine bado tu atakuwa na madhaifu na mapungufu. Let's give William Samoei Ruto time mpaka 2027. Ukisikia amekubo sana, weka kura yako. Vote him out.
Ongea na kura yako.
Ongea na kura yako.
Okay, all right. Peter, what do you think of that? What should the president speak on the 21st of Thursday that will help, ease the pressure in the public?
As my brother has observed, we have no authority to advise the president, but of course we have opinions about what should happen, what should be addressed. And before I also mention my opinion, let me also reflect on what happened last week when the bishops said that the president has been lying too much. In my observation, that was not a very progressive statement from the bishops, outrightly tagging the president of our country, and a president who was elected by the majority of the Kenyan citizen, tagging him as a liar. That would kind of dampen the mood of every citizen to imagine that men of great authority in the society, in the caliber of bishops, can openly, through a press conference, tag the president as a liar. To me, it was a very low moment in our country, and I would really pray to God that next time the bishops have a chance to do a press conference, to exercise some restraint in name calling and branding leaders. It's going to observe that the leaders we have who are elected by the majority of Kenyans, who majorly are Christians. So we also made that decision having seen the great support the current leadership had from churches. And instead of calling the president liars, the church should have actually apologized to the nation for supporting a president who has not delivered, not because he's a liar, maybe probably because of other reasons that like I earlier observed, that those around him are not competent enough to come up with doing proper foundations to support his vision. And that's where I would advise him to do an intentional re-engineering. The other weakness we have is about his communication department. Those that are in various leadership positions, probably in the central government and also in the political system, they need to be very effective foot soldiers so that wherever they are around the country, they are communicating in the simplest term possible to Wanjiku so that he can understand what the president is doing. So what we see today in the current administration is a situation where it is only the president who steps out to speak about government policies and decisions, to defend them, to explain them to Wanjiku. This is not enough. All the people structure from top down, even as we talk about bottom-up economic agenda, the better, communication should be top-down so that the grassroots are well briefed by the people they interact with every day. There should be foot soldiers on the ground who are well briefed, who go to workshops and seminars to be inducted on what the government wants to do and why it wants to do it, and who can also ask questions on behalf of Wanjiku so that at the end of that workshop, when they go home, they have capacity to state, to explain, and to anchor those government policies in those villages and small towns. This is lacking in the current administration.
Okay.
And I would single out that as the biggest weakness in the current administration, because sisi kwa ground, you see me, I'm also a leader in the ground, but I have not been called, not even to a single workshop, to be told as a government, as UDA government, this is what we are doing, and this is where we are doing it. This is how it will impact the grassroots, and these are the, you know, we also bring our feedback, ask questions, probe, support, oppose, so that at the end of the workshop, we have a common voice.
Okay.
And then when you go to the ground, in our small tea kiosks, those are the things we explain.
You talk
to
about.
Yes.
All
now
right.
we are not empowered. So to me, it is a weakness. And if there's anyone watching this, and is a person who can speak this to the ears that are up there, kindly do, so that we can try to bring about an attitude change to our people. I believe that people are not reacting the way they are, primarily because the government and its policies are purely bad, but it's because there is information gap.
Okay.
Kutoka juu kufika
Kwenda
mashinani.
chini. There's
Asante.
something. All right. Now, as we close, I want you to just to tell people where they can get you, and then I will finish with Yakub. Where can people get you on your social media handles? And maybe, your partnership.
I'm available on TikTok at Jeru_Messi. I'm also available on Facebook, Jeru Peter. I'm also available on X space, Jeru_Messi. Messi because I do a lot of football. The whole day yesterday I was in Kitui. I'm a match commissioner with the FKF. I was commissioning a match between Kenya Navy and Dynamo FC of Kitui. So that's the genesis of Messi.
Okay.
Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you very much for your time. And to you, Yakub, I don't know if your social media reads Yakub or it's still Kasipu, because you said you're changing it everywhere.
Kwa sababu ya time na kwa sababu ni kidogo, sitaongea kuhusu my social media platform because I'm not interested someone to follow me there. If you want to follow me, look for me.
Okay.
I'll just wind up by saying this, which is very important. Tuache ukabila. Hiyo tu. Tupendane kama wa Kenya kwa sababu hii Kenya ni ya sisi wote. Na sisi wote tumekuja hii Kenya. Hakuna mtu alikuanga ni kwa hapa Kenya. Tukianza hapa kwa mlima ni watu wa Kongo. Ukienda pale coast ni wa Yemen na wa Oman. Ukikuja hapa kwa Wajaluo kwetu, sisi kutoka Baragazal ndio kwetu Sudan. Ukienda kwa Masai hapa kwao wanatoka Rwanda. Waluya Uganda. Hii Kenya tumepatana sisi wo. Usiseme Kenya ni ya mtu fulani. Hata mandugu zetu wa Somali hapa ni kwao. Kwa sababu tumekutana sisi wo. Sisi wote. Na tunamalizia kwa kusema hivi. Tupendane, tuoane, tusiangalie jinsia na dini. Hapana. Tupendane tukue kitu kimoja. Na tuzidi kuoana. Ndio tumalize ile maneno mengine ile ya upande wengine.
Tupendane tuoane. Hey, way to close it. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on board and sharing your amazing insights. We had some good laugh and some good talk right here. So that has been, I will try not to bite my tongue, Alhaj Yakub Malimweli. Most people know him as Kasipu, but he has changed. He has converted and has changed his name since. And we've also had Peter Njeru, the chairman of Utawala Ward, sharing with us the sentiments on the state of the nation. I hope you've enjoyed it. Talk to us at Y254 channel. The hashtag is Y in the morning. We take a short break. Brian Sakwa is coming up next with yet another interesting conversation. Stay with us.
Y254. Imagine.
Komando, wambie sisi ndo vipenzi komando. Komando, komando, wambie sisi ndo vipenzi komando.
Inakuwaje? Ni kila Jumatatu kutokea saa 1:05 hadi 3:30. Ndio unafahamu sisi ni makomando wa Afrika Mashariki ambao tunakupa kipindi chenye mapozi, tunatazama na mapozi ya kwako. Wanasema kwamba you can call me Kenny at Kenrelby. Wagwang, my name is DJ Kuch. Pale kwenye chiki na kupatia mziki zote za East Africa, old school, new school, zote ziko ndani. You can link up at DJ Kuch. Boom.
And of course with me, Kalondu Musimi, I'll be giving you all the entertaining stories in East Africa. Nitakuwa nikuambia nani amefanya nini, kwa nini na akiwa na nani.
Hatuagizi na mabosi, sisi wenyewe mabosi. Wanatobea mikosi, tunalindwa na sagodi pekee.
Chemi za uongo, stories za jaba ndo tingize ubongo, ndo bebe kawale tikiza kamongo.
What's up, everybody? Have you heard of Bounce Nation? We are the latest, most turned-up show in 254.
You know how we do each and every Tuesday, Thursday. Mad vibes, mad music. When you see this face, amazing vibes, pure niceness, mad music. Now always kumbuka wewe ndoko in full control.
I'm unavailable, they know they see me.
I go by the name Feeling Jean.
And I am the beat doctor, DJ Epic, straight out of Gas Chamber DJs. You know how we do.
Of course, catch us every single Tuesday and Thursday from 4 p.m. all the way to 7 p.m. for mad energy, good vibes, and interviews and interactions with your favorite celebrities.
Our stories shape our future. It's within them that we get to know ourselves.
God always came through in a way that we couldn't even explain. And we came to realize that putting God at the center of it is like everything else will just flow.
What do you do when push comes to shove?
He was a great man. At that moment, he was supportive. Until 6 months, we went for the first surgery.
That's why here on The Nest, we tell you these stories to empower you and shape your parenting. Every Tuesday from 7:30 p.m. only on Y254.
This week on The Buzz, we have some juicy entertainment news for you.
Praise the living God. I am a star. It's a must I rise and shine.
Find out which celebrities were nominated for the Grammys this year. We will highlight a rom-com titled The Contract.
That's like the unicorn of one in a million.
I'm a senior. I go to Melbourne High.
On Star of the Week, we get to learn about the life story of actor Omari Hardwick.
I was piecing up Regina Hall, so...
Wanna know the trending song of the week?
Mwaka huu, safari hii, mutajua hamujui.
Then tune in on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. with me, Eve Nyaga, for your favorite entertainment show.
Y254. Imagine.
sun like a pearl upon the ocean. Come and feel me. Oh, feel me. Feelun happiness ka mausam.
Here on Power Talk Show, we handle conversations of current affairs that directly affect you. We do a deep dive on conversations that involve relationships, mental health, finances, and other trending issues. We also share stories of people who have faced adversaries and managed to overcome them.
I'm a person who tried committing suicide 3 times. Yes, before I reached class 7.
Tune in to Power Talk each and every Thursday at 7:10 p.m. and join in the conversation with me, Cheryl Blessing, using the hashtag Power Talk.
Y254. Imagine.
Absolutely, you are just right on time for the last conversation of the day. And if you missed the previous State of the Nation, you can just forward backwards kidogo too. You'll get to catch a glimpse of what they talked about matters State of the Nation and some of the things that most of them could potentially feature here. But today, you're literally centered on matters men and manhood and adulthood, the modern day man. And we've asked you a question on the socials. What are some of those things that includes behaviors, character, and everything? But then when it comes to literally how society views a man, I was reading an article and it was saying, actually, I think it's from the elephant.info.com. It says, in modern day, world, men are portrayed as aggressors, people who are just, rough, and they're not soft. So is there a way that we can carve, a space where men can be viewed differently? And how do you even view men differently in terms of the accomplishments, the experiences they've gone through life that have shaped who they are? But then the question is, who is a man? And that's what we're delving into right now. On this conversation, I'm being joined live by 2 gentlemen. Eric Mungai, he is the CEO of Yazua Africa, alongside David Murungu. He's from Boys Mentorship Interactive. Karibuni sana.
Asante. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
I'm going to begin off by Eric. You were sharing an interesting story about your background. When you look at today's world, the modern day man, as compared to maybe the time you're growing up, would you say that things that are continuously maybe being carried over today that continue to shape the man in terms of their childhood, fatherhood, and the way it plays a big role in shaping how you become, a man? Motherhood, we forget about motherhood a lot. In fact, I was saying in our intro, your mother is your first woman. She sets an example and demonstrates to you how the feminine energy looks like, or how women are. So in terms of, if you were to compare the time you grew up and now, are there things that are different that have shaped you?
Definitely, yes. We forget, or we are not aware that, the environment that a boy grows in largely defines the man he becomes. The experiences and the exposure that he goes through largely define and impact, really, to a large degree, the man that he becomes. So there's been a lot of shifts and changes around masculinity with how I grew up and how it looks like today. When I growing up, there was a lot of discussion around a man is a provider, a protector. It was very driven by rules, you know. Now today, in the world that we live in today, those rules are being challenged and being called to question. So it's, you know, it's a process, it's a challenge, and we keep on checking and trying to figure out in the world that we live in, like I've mentioned, what does it mean to be an effective man today? Yeah, what does it mean to show up as a man? What does it mean to live and walk around as a man? Yeah.
But then when you look at how, you know, society views a man today, I've just pointed out to you, in fact, they're saying millennial men are literally dissociating from things like you being the provider, like you mentioned, being rough and just, you know, it's all about being macho and gangster.
Yeah.
Nowadays, men are more emotive. They are expressing themselves. They are verbal. You know, initially, even when you look at our forefathers, they are very, you know, nonchalant, very calm. They come, they eat, and they're, in fact, you'll never hear, unless maybe it was one of those loud fathers who used to get drunk and, you know, the tantrums and everything, you know, they were Levy Nation anyways. But then men are becoming more vocal. They're becoming more conversational. In fact, they're more bubbly. But the gagging part is, I've heard ladies say, "Sitaki mwanaume anaongea sana." In fact, kwani wewe ni mwanamke? Sijui kama if you've had such a thing.
Yeah.
Kwani wewe ni mwanamke, you know? Ama mimi ni mwanamke, you know? I don't know why it's shifted towards that if men become, you know, vocal and conversational.
Well, because the world around gender topics and gender discussions, you know, has encouraged and started to push for more expression with men. But I've always said that it's not that men didn't express, it's just that men don't express with words. We've always expressed, we've always shown feelings, but we didn't show them in a way that the world accepts. The world wants feelings and men expressing themselves through emotions and let's sit down, let's have a discussion, let's talk about it. Yeah. You know, at times a man is quiet, and he's quiet because there are things he's going through. He's communicating, so maybe just not communicating the way people want them to communicate. So even as though there have been differences and changes as time has gone on, there are certain elements about masculinity and about a man that remain true. You know, I don't think
they change. Okay.
I don't think they change. I don't think men,
they're fundamental.
You know, they're fundamental. I think a man, it's good for a man to express with words, but it's not a must that he expresses with words. Yeah.
So what are the alternatives though of expression?
Of expressing, just let him listen to his music, let him spend some time alone, let him walk around by himself. It's fine. Let a man have his space, you know, his man cave, so to speak of. Yeah.
Right.
And at times a man will say something, he'll say, this is what I'm struggling with. And he doesn't need you to give him solutions. And men generally, we don't talk until we feel comfortable that we are seeing a path through.
Yeah.
Yeah. But society wants us to
self-space. Yeah.
Yeah. We want us to discuss our problems, and then after we've discussed it, then what? You know, actually, that is more disempowering for a man. I don't want to discuss my issues and then
no solution.
No solution. By the time I'm talking to you about it, by the time I come to speak to David about a problem that I'm going through, I've already thought about a few solutions. I need him to tell me whether my solutions are smart or not.
Right.
I don't need him to kumbaya with me. You know, let's sing, let's pray.
But the kumbaya part, is it bad? Because, anyways, but we'll get into men being emotional. But I like to pick your background a little bit. You're married 5 years. You have a ring on your finger. That means you had to go through a process.
Yes.
You grew. You matured. You became seasoned. When you look at your background, in terms of the mother you had, the father you had, did they shape any facets of you that you'd say contributed to the man that you are? And if you were to pinpoint maybe, what are they, so that, you know, others can learn from them?
Thank you very much for the invite. Yes, to a large degree, my parents were a foundational influence in how I viewed life and marriage, simply because when I was born, they are the people I knew. They're the ones who introduced me to the world out there. They're the ones who shaped my thinking. They're the ones who challenged some things that they wanted to see grow in me and also die as well. So even by the time I'm going to school, largely, to a large degree, my parents were the ones who really were a huge factor in how I actually developed. So I've even found that even in my marriage, there are some things that are coming out. You know, there are some things I used to see my dad doing. Like for example, there's a seat I like sitting in my house.
Yeah.
You know, and I used to wonder when my dad would come and after work or even when he's relaxing, he's sitting on a certain seat. Up to now, even when I was with him on, I think on Friday or Saturday, there's a seat he normally, that is just reserved for him. And you know, and so I found myself also doing some things, even his working styles, his mannerisms, his way of thinking, even how I plan my finances, or even how to avoid some mistakes they did. I've learned from my parents primarily first, even before I got exposed to the world. So I said to some degree, to a huge degree actually.
You had an incredible fatherhood, you know, demonstration.
Not necessarily, I had a real father.
A real father.
Not really incredible, but I'll say that he was real. Real in terms of, I could see the challenges he had, and I could also see some things he succeeded in. One thing I really appreciate about my parents is that they never shielded me away from the reality of marriage. They didn't. I could see them fighting. Arguing. I could see them also enjoy themselves. I could see, you know, as a child,
Were you the firstborn?
Yeah, I'm actually the firstborn.
Alongside how many siblings?
Just me and my younger brother.
Oh, so boys.
Yeah, boys.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can imagine, you know, for firstborns, the dominant personality comes from the father.
Right.
My father is a flag. I'm also a flag, so he's very warm and stuff. So, and then my mom is also quite choleric. And I think that cholerism came because we were boys. So she needed to be very tough on us, but in to a good degree. So I will say I have picked so much, both psychologically and also mentally, when it comes to actually me developing as a man, not just in marriage, just me as David.
Your whole facets, full-blown facets, your
yes.
character and everything. So would you say she was the softer version of, because there's a Yoruba saying that says, a man is who his mother makes him, and you view your mother as your first love, So she's the first woman, She demonstrates to you how women are. Would you say you got that picture exactly, and when you took the route of marriage, maybe you got an example or a demonstration of your mother?
Yes, I did, to a large extent, not fully, but to a large extent, because there are some qualities that my mother had which were very, very admirable. My mother is very hardworking.
Okay.
She is very hardworking. She's also very prayerful.
Every mother is very hardworking and very prayerful.
yeah, and prayerful, and she's quite involved. So she really sacrificed a lot for us. Same with my dad. But for my mom, I noticed the way she really went to a large extent to make sure that we had a very good life. She sacrificed a lot. There are times she will get into debt just to make sure that we have something to get us by and stuff. There are many things she has done, even mistakes. So as a result now, even when I was choosing the lady I wanted, not even like juxtaposing or taking my mom here and comparing, but just naturally too, I would just find me attracted to women who are either hardworking, women who are very sincere, you know, and stuff. And that I can now say to a large degree my mom was a critical factor.
Demonstration of
of making that decision in terms of even marriage and the woman.
Did she have a say on the girls you were bringing around or you were dating?
Yeah, she had an opinion, not a say. A say, you know, can sound very like,
anyways,
no, don't choose one, choose, no. But she really had, because, like, I'll give you an example. So the current lady I have, we were friends. So one time this...
meaning that you had others.
She's my second girlfriend. She was my second girlfriend now when I married her. But I remember when I brought her home, let me say when we were friends, my friends did a surprise birthday party for me. So, you know, my mom knew my friends. So they talked to my mom and we organized a birthday party, a surprise for me. So when the party was going on and they did the surprise and it worked, I was really, really surprised, because you can imagine finding people in your bedroom and you're used to being alone. So it was a huge surprise. Anyway, so my mom...
it sent a message to you?
It sent a message? It sent a message, of course. But I remember my mom just looking, and one of the girls, who happens now to be my wife, just came and volunteered and said, can I help you with the dishes and stuff? Can I do this for you? And not just her, many other, like 2 or 3 girls out of like 6 were actually volunteering. So my mom will, afterwards now, will debrief and say, hey, kuna msichana, by the way, I like her. Alikuja kanisaidia kuosha vyombo, you know, that way. This one dedicated that way. Yeah.
And you knew she's the one?
No, not necessarily, but I could notice the way she was actually hinting. You know, you can just instinctually you can see what she's driving at.
In your mind, she was your choice.
No, she wasn't. she wasn't.
So how did you end up? But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Let me get back to you, Eric. When you look at how our childhood, or I'll say formative years as men, they've really shaped our, let's say from your teenage years to your early 20s, mid 20s, now get into your 30s. I believe both of you are maybe into your 30s, I'm assuming, but you'll correct me later. There's experiences in between here that make or break. So they either position you at a mental state in terms of also even your character, in terms of also your posture as a man on how you view things in the future. So for you, if you were to deep dive into, let me use your mid-20s, because somebody said they are the most chaotic and messy years. Are there things in between there that happened to you, maybe painful, pleasure, like both pleasure and pain, that you'd say they contributed to making you the man that you are today? But then I'm also keeping in mind that you said you're going through a separation of a relationship you had for a period of 13 years. That's a lot,
My 20s, I think the most significant thing that happened in my 20s was my grandfather died, and my grandfather was the central parent and figure in my life. He's the man who brought me up. He set really the foundation of what it means to be a man for me growing up. He was not only the central figure, but everything that I am and I became has been informed by who he was. The perseverance, the drive, the capacity to keep at something and not give up. That was him. He passed on in my 20s, and he passed on just before I got married. And I have mentioned that I was married for a couple of years, but currently separated. And a lot of decisions that I made and I continue to make have been informed by the experiences that took place, I think, in my life between the ages of about 15 to I think 30. Those were very, very formative years for me. They were the years when I determined and decided who I was. They are the years when I tried different things. They're the years where I failed in different sectors and different spaces. I failed as a friend, I failed in relationships, I failed in work as a professional, I failed in business. There are also the years when I tried many different things. You know, it was in my 20s that I drank for the very first time. You know,
in campus?
Yeah, sort of campus, but not just campus. It was actually just my friends from home, from the estate.
Before even campus?
It was that period. It's you're in campus, you're in college, and you know you're engaging with guys.
So experimental.
You're experimenting.
You know,
those are actually the years when you experiment and you try different things. But then they're also very formative in character. Those are the years when you decide really who are you, who am I, and what are people going to know about me. Those are the years that you begin to break away from the influences of, let's say, your parents, and you begin to decide.
So you become your own man. You dance to your own rhythm,
Yeah, you start to dance to your,
And I think that now makes us to shift into identity, because I think I've read the most of the stories that you don't know who you are. You've mentioned that, and I think I like it. Who am I as a man? If you were to, you know, sit in a podium or a TED Talk and give a TED Talk about manhood. So do you start by saying, I'm Sakwa, I'm a radio and TV personality, or I'm Sakwa, I'm a brother, I'm a child, I'm a son, and, you know, I'm a believer? As in, how can men, you know, start defining
themselves,
identity and finding who they are, and now using that as the rhythm of their life?
So, you know, you mentioned that I run an organization called Yazoo Africa that works with boys from the ages of 9 all the way to 24. For us, we believe that the way to define masculinity is through values, not rules, not expectations, not what your mother tells you to do, not what your father tells you to do, not what your wife or your girlfriend or your friends tell you to do. It's values. And for us, these values are, you know, just guiding values. We say identity, and identity is you sitting down and looking at your history. Where am I from? Who are my forefathers? Who are the people who've come before me? Who are my ancestors? But then, importantly, discipline. You know, you define for yourself what discipline means for you and how it looks like. How does it play out in your life? Then excellence. Are you excellent? Do you have excellence in your life? Then character and creativity. Do you have character? Are you creative? And a man needs to be creative. We live in a society that demands for us to be creative in how we deal with issues, how we solve problems, how we create wealth. Then there is insight and integrity. And insight is just, do I learn? Am I open to learning? Like, do I seek information and gain understanding and insights? And then am I a person of integrity? And then
But then all those things are learned through experiences.
Through experiences. And you have to, lazima ujitume, you have to be out there.
So it means you have to send yourself, like you're saying.
Yes.
You have to also now find, you know, a channel of how I can arrive there. Because there's people who are stuck in life. You know, the other day, I think we were talking about a 38-year-old man who the mother did a TikTok video and said, my son has never gotten out of the house. He doesn't have a job. He's not dating. He's not married. In fact, she says she's not even expecting it to happen anytime soon. And he's living in his mother's house. I don't know if you diagnose that as maybe failed parenthood, or maybe just a man who's broken and they went through a crisis and maybe they're still stuck. I don't know. What's your view on that incident?
I'd say that's failed society. There is responsibility for the man, but a man does not grow in a vacuum.
Absolutely.
Right. You know, a man needs a community around him. So it's the community that has also failed to play its role. It's the community that has failed to call him out. We say that a man is called out. You find a boy, you call the man out of the boy. And then he is informed on how to be a man. And then he sits with other men. So because we failed to create spaces where men sit and discuss and encourage each other and motivate each other, then, you know, we have issues of young men who are caught up in the cycle. I'm 35, I'm 30, I'm 40, but I got caught up in a period when I got stuck. And it could have been something that happened to him.
What were, I thought you were sharing how you got stuck, but yeah, it's good. Let me jump to him, but I'll get back to you shortly. When you look at that experience, Brav, and also your journey, are there, for example, I'll say experiences that, you know, they started shaping you now discipline-wise? You disconnected from behaviors and things that you used to engage before. There's some friends, you know, people think it's not possible to outgrow people, even the ones you adore and love. There's seasons and there's places you reach in life and you're like, I'm no longer this version of the person that you knew. I'm a totally different man, and it means that I'm leveling up and I'm rising up to the occasion where I'm changing even my environment, even the things I do. So when you look at your journey and who you are right now, are there things that you had to cut off? And that included now discipline. And all that again goes back to identity, defining who you are today as a man.
Okay, that's a loaded question, but yeah, it's true. There's some things I had to learn, especially in my 20s. When I started now slowly but surely maturing in terms of age, I now realize that now there's a lot of responsibility that I need to start carrying. My parents are not there anymore to supervise. I now have to start now stepping up and using what I've learned to actually build my life. However, it is through me, as I just juxtaposed to what Erica said, even me in my 20s and 30s were very formative and preparation stages for me as a man, because there are some things I tried simply because now I was free. I could try them, and I made mistakes. I also made successes, but in the process...
I'd like you guys to even talk about your mistakes. You know, we are just airbrushing it and say, I made mistakes.
Oh, okay. So
can you own up and say,
no,
maybe I did something crazy and I outgrew it and here I am, you know? Are you able to admit?
Yes. There are friends I had, especially in my teenage years. And one of the struggles that I had was more of a sexual nature. Pornography was a huge one. And how I actually got into pornography for my entire high school life was through my friends. And they introduced me to it, and the company I kept really shaped my future,
so what happened?
My thinking.
Did they have like a video,
yes,
a magazine?
Yes, they had a CD. A CD. You know, that time, you can imagine in the early 2000s, there were DVD players and VCDs and stuff. So I just told, take this movie, go watch and stuff. And then eventually now it morphed into an addiction. So it now reached a place whereby it's now going to cybers and what. And sometimes my friends will go watch and stuff. And I found that deep within me, I had an insecurity. I was really trying to get their approval, and I didn't want to look like the bad guy and stuff. So now what I needed to do to overcome that was that eventually now when I reached 20, I had to cut off my friends by adopting, of course, friends who have the right values. And it's a decision I had to make by myself, because I realized where I was going to. I was now going into campus. I didn't want to carry the same behavior, and also it was affecting my grades, it was affecting my esteem. So I realized that it was because of my friends. But also, apart from just changing friends, is getting the right sort of mentorship, but not necessarily direct, but just there are men who will come, just talk, we'll do a session, just talk, and they'll realize, they will challenge me, you guy, you need to do this, you need to do this and change. So that's what that's one of the areas I can say I really had to make a drastic and major decision. And I actually am so proud I did that because...
Yeah. And I applaud you for that because not so many people would be honest and say, I was addicted to porn and masturbation. Of course, porn and masturbation, they are twins, So I can imagine a period of your high school years suffering through that.
But it was an identity crisis for me because I realized now when I think about it and I introspect in hindsight, honestly, it's because I really never... I was trying to really get validation from my friends. Yeah, that's what I was trying. In myself as David, I didn't feel as confident. I felt I needed to. So if I want to feel good about myself, let's do things so that these people can say, "Yeah, David, you're doing well here," and it to make me feel good. And you know, my love language is words of affirmation. Right. You know, so I will really want that. But now, from now, that is now a past. And I'm now, part of the reason why we run Boys Mentorship Interactive is because of that reason. It's because we are helping boys, especially teenage boys, understand the value of their masculinity. That in them, by them being men, there is value. And they should cherish that, by the way. They should not try and cheapen it by either trying to get attention from others or engaging in wrong values or wrong habits, by the way. Just once you know your identity, once you know the value of a thing, you're going to really nurture it and guard it.
Interesting that you mentioned and admitted as well, and that's incredible on the record. But then still on that porn part, in this Kenyan culture, basically we have this thing called the kunyonga culture. It's been normalized, and we tell men, hey bro, you can nyonga sometimes on and off. So it's been softened even in the music genres that we've seen artists create. Very insightful, sometimes provocative, but then they're telling information to even the young generations. And then when you bring in now the example of Mr. Debang Kigonga, this guy who recently from Guinea-Bissau, Equatorial Guinea. So it's giving a certain impression and painting a picture even for the younger men who are up and coming. So if you want to maybe chip in and say, maybe we need to create some sort of a platform or a podium where we need to openly have this conversation so that we imprint and ingratiate totally different perspectives about men. And on top of that, let me just try to read to you something and then you can pick it up.
No worries.
This is from an article called theelephant.info.com. It says, the problem with becoming a man is that no one really teaches you how to live it out, partly because everyone will do masculinity in their own unique ways, but most importantly, masculinity is really about humanity of men, and like all personhood, it carries mistakes, glories, questions, fears, insecurities, pitfalls of a fallen soul in a complex world where up sometimes is down and down sometimes is up. React to that.
Oh, okay. I think in my opinion is that based on the Egonga story and the Kunyonga culture, there has to be, we have to introduce an alternative. There are a lot of men out there who have good values. However, the problem is it's not visible. They are not confident enough to come out and say, by the way, or show a different perspective about masculinity that is healthy and that is needed. So you find the reason as to why this culture is propagated is simply because many don't know of an alternative view that is actually against this one. So in my opinion, there has to be a challenge to men now, adults. This one I'm talking about adult men, whereby many of them come out and just strongly oppose this kind of culture. The other thing I'll say honestly is that ignorance is also a key thing, because even scientifically, masturbation, kunyonga by the way, has no benefit to the body. It doesn't have any benefit sexually. In fact, it's very harmful psychologically, because once you engage in such an act, the guilt that is there, we talk about the guilt feelings, and talking about the way it hooks you. By the way, you're not free. You're always, for you to now feel normal, you have to go and do a high and do that, of course. You know,
some sort of it's a drug.
It's a dopamine,
literally.
yeah.
It's a drug.
It's a drug. Trigger. Exactly. It triggers that dopamine and feel good effect. So you can't now exist without it. So you're hooked to it.
You're a slave.
Yeah, you're a slave. And you see many people don't know this. And you'll find, honestly, Brian, many people are really seeking help. They don't know. They want help. They're not that they're really seeking. They really want help out of this. Is that they don't know where to start. And you know, for us as men, vulnerability is not normal. Vulnerability for men only happens in regimented and structured spaces. Because as Eric has said, and I totally agree with him, I can't just come as a man and share that I'm actually masturbating.
Yeah.
I can't just come and, even on open air, I can't just come and say, this is a struggle I have.
Or you're having sexuality issues.
Issues. I
Yeah.
can't.
Okay.
I can say I've overcome, like how I've shared my story, but I can't just come and say this is what I'm going through, because honestly, my ego and is this a safe space? There's so many factors. And even just me as a man, naturally we are wired not to do that.
Right.
So there has to be
a safe space,
a safe space, a structured one,
Yeah,
but
okay.
also honestly, let me just put a challenge to the men out there.
Okay.
Honestly, don't hold back. There's so much, we need men who have the right values to now start showing up and being unapologetic about
Who they
this
are.
is a standard
Okay.
of
Right.
masculinity.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Let me throw it back to you, Eric. When you look at all of that and what he has mentioned, not so many of us would admit that, bruv, there's things I'm doing, and trust me, if they make it in broad daylight, you guys won't even consider me a human being anymore. But yet, deep down, they are festering, they're eating you, they're crushing you. But then you have to put up this face that people are used to. But you know, if just one string was pulled at the basis of you, you'll be gone like yesterday.
You'd unravel. Well, yes, and you know, just like David has said, the thing about men is a man will only open up when he feels safe.
Absolutely.
You know, when he's in a space where his ego, his image is protected. So we do have men who are festering. They're among us. They're in our offices, they're in our churches, they're in our classes, they're everywhere. They're with us. But does that man have a community around him? Does he have a platform or a space with him where he's able to do better? Let me maybe give you an example. Currently in our community and in our country today, we have a few platforms that have been created by different men. And if you participate in any of those platforms, you'll see that men actually do talk. It's just that men talk to other men. So whether you're looking at Amerix or Aliet or all these...
Is Amerix really an SI unit for masculinity? Because
he isn't, but he's created a platform.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
All right? There are many things that he... I don't agree with everything, but there are things that he says that are right. And, you know, we have to give it to him. Across the platform, every individual who's created a platform in this country, whether it's Andrew Kibe or whoever, they've created platforms where men can talk and men can spar and grow together. And that's, unfortunately, is a thing that, you know, David was alluding to earlier, that we've failed, where positive, strong male figures, they're there, but they are not creating those platforms where they can invite people and then be able to disseminate.
Maybe they're in settings like religious settings, school settings, family settings, and
but they're not,
their outreach is not as massive as it should be, let's say, to just a common
not just, it's
there.
not just about the outreach being massive, it's that it's not focused. Amerix is focused on men. I don't know if you get that. That Amerix
follow him, though.
wakes up and talks about men, whether it's Amerix or Aliet, they focus on masculinity to a degree that church institutions have not. We will sit down as men's fellowship and talk on Sunday, but it's not to the same degree. Like Aliet has gone ahead and created a platform where we talk. There are certain things that we're talking about men every day. There's a channel where information is being disseminated. So those are the things that the positive elements of masculinity have not done. Not to say that those guys are not positive, because they are positive things. I do follow some of them, and I admire some of the things.
But it's wishy-washy. Sometimes they say something that's cringe-worthy. Sometimes they say something that you feel has weight. Yeah.
Granted,
But then I've just read to you an article here. It says there's no formula to doing masculinity because it's marred with vulnerability, mistakes, successes. So there's not already defined, let's say, a defined channel that this is how a man should be. But then on the other side, society is really, you know, on the backs of men. Ladies want a real man. And so there's expectations. And that means there's some things that you have to work on as a man that, you know, are admirable to the ladies, because like we've just said, they don't want a man who is loud. Hawataki mtu ako broke. Hawataki mtu hana ndevu. Hawataki mtu hana sauti, hana height. So it means there's a package that these ladies want. And so before you go down that route, it means there's a process there. And not every man might make it to that process.
Let me ask a question, and I think this is a question we can discuss here
Yeah.
with David. I've always wondered, and when I think about masculinity, this is a question, this is among the very first question that comes to mind. If we didn't have ladies, if we didn't have women in the world, would you still be a man? Or is your masculinity defined with how you relate to women and what a woman defines you to be? Would men be men if there are no women in the world?
That's a good question. That's
Yeah.
a good question. Yeah.
Because it feels like a lot of our definition as men is determined and based or mirrored against what women say and what women expect. Yeah?
Because
From
you
this
marry
gender.
the woman anyways, at the end of the day.
Yeah, but do we define women?
Yeah,
Do we
there's
define
women
who a woman is because she's married to a man?
Sometimes there's situations and people.
Culturally, yes. And with traditions and all these different things.
Uh-huh.
But if we were to remove those expectations, who are you? Do you remain a man? Or
Yes.
do you then
You're
fail
just a human
or
being,
stop
you know.
being a man because, women are telling you you're not men? And that's why, the performative elements of masculinity then begin to check in. That's why the Igonga is a big thing, because it's very, very performative.
It's now syndicated.
Yeah, it's a performative thing. And those are some of the challenges that many young men, and even, whether it's with porn, whether it's masturbation, whether it's sleeping around, whether it's multiple
Social media
sexual
now,
partners, it is
drugs,
performative.
and etc. Yeah.
It is performative masculinity. You are doing it to show up and to prove that you're a man. But to prove to who?
Yeah.
Who do you need to prove to that you're a man?
Yes.
It has to
It should
start
be
with
yourself,
yourself. Yeah, and it has to start with those values and those standards,
Yes.
and those ethos that you set for yourself, and determine that this determines for me that this is who I am as a man.
Yeah. And I think the who am I question will linger through all this conversation, because I've read somewhere that somebody who said, if you don't know who you are, you can fall for anything. And then also, if you want to know who you are, then start refusing the things that you don't want to be. That way, you can remain with things that you want to be that can shape who you are. So when you still look at that and how, people are still struggling with identity crisis, I believe not everyone is going through a sense of, I just don't know who I am. I don't know where I'm at in life. I don't know if it's 12 a.m. or 2 a.m. I saw a meme where that had been shared that, somebody was saying, most of you are getting married this December while I'm trying to figure out what I can eat for breakfast. Because he is not even sure where he is in life. But then he's just living in between. Let whatever come, kingdom come, whatever comes in and out. But then when you look at that, Braven, the way, society has tried to put up some social constraint, if you're in fact, in terms of now accomplishments, you'll be considered a very powerful man if you have some certain things by your side. And maybe at a certain age, they expect you to, be married. Thank God, both of you have been through it and you are in. You finished maybe campus, you have kids, you have a job, you're earning, and so it goes on and on and on. Then you get kids, and then they're like, so watoto waendi shule? Then kids start going to school, and then kuna mwingine, a job, unaingiza 50,000, so utafute biashara. The demands keep on, piling up, and then finally you end up dying. So when you look at all that, do you believe maybe there's I'd say there's a way we can try to come up with a space where, let's start now. Is it called dissociating or deleting the things that we're used to and start carving a different totally world that will bring everyone on board?
Yes, I'll just say this. A man becomes one of the indicators, in my opinion, when someone now, a boy now becomes a man, or there's that now, you can see, and you see someone now becoming a man, is when they now start taking responsibility of their masculinity. They stop blaming their background, they stop having this victim mentality, and they just own up to the fact that now this is my responsibility. I'm in this case, I need to discover who a man is, and I need to seek help. That is now part of it. So to just answer your question, definitely there has to be a sort of unlearning. And I will say this, whenever we talk about issues to do with gender, it could be masculinity or femininity, there has to be an absolute. It just can't exist in a vacuum. You have to fall back somewhere. You see, like Kenya, our absolute is the constitution. Right. So whenever there is a crisis, we rely to we go to the constitution, and even judges make their decisions based on the constitution. That's the absolute. Even for us, some of us, our masculinity is defined by the tribe we come from, Of course, it could be other religion. Those are absolutes. So definitely, we have to identify now what you have to ask yourself now, for example, what really defines your masculinity? Where does it come from? Did it come from your parents? Did it come from your tradition and stuff? And if it is not true, if there is an absolute that is more real, that is more truthful about that indicates that this is who a man is, that it has the right values, more than your tradition, for example, then now you should subscribe to such. And there are so many platforms. I don't think we have even scratched the surface when it comes to masculine development. We still need many people to actually, we need more programs, we need more safe spaces. You see, I run a mentorship program for boys, he runs one as well. There are mentorship programs for men, adult men, and still it has not even scratched the tip. So we still need more.
So there's a lot to be done.
So that we can unlearn and relearn a few things.
Relearn, reroute all those things.
Yeah.
Finally, as we exit, it's literally 9:57 here, so we have to exit. What is the one thing you've learned as a man that you'd say it's a transferable experience that you would, make another man get to know, or a story shortly that you can say, from this experience, it shaped me and who I am today? In 30 seconds, if you were to share.
I will just say, not an experience, but one philosophy of a conviction I've had over this year is that masculinity is not a function of age, it's a function of maturity in character and responsibility. Right. So you can actually be 40, an adult man age-wise, but how you conduct yourself, how you reason, may be reasoning like someone who's a teenager still. So it is more you maturing and taking responsibility for what you consume and what defines and propels your masculinity. So it's not necessarily age-wise only. There's to be something deeper, and that's your mentality and your core convictions. That's what I'll end with.
What about you, David?
Tomorrow is the International Women's Day, right? And the theme for this year is role modeling. And I actually believe in that, that men become the men they're exposed to. A boy becomes the man that he's taught to become. So it's a question of the people that we expose our boys to, the influences that we expose our boys to, and the models that are present. They have, my grandfather is and remains the most influential figure for me, and the model that I model my masculinity after. So models.
The role models, And I think this is just a quarter of this conversation. We are not even halfway into it. I think we can have a part 2. So we'll still invite you, Eric and David, again, but you can give how people can get to find you on social media very fast in 2 seconds. Let's start with you.
I'd say, Yazua Africa, and Africa with a K. We are on both Twitter, we're in Instagram, we're in Facebook, and mine is Eric Mungai. Just the way I'm saying it, Eric Mungai, on all those platforms. We invite you to engage with us.
Okay. What about you?
Our Boys Mentorship Interactive is the organization Boys Mentorship Interactive. My name is David Muriungi. So on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, David Muriungi.
All right. Thank you both for sharing your incredible insights. Hopefully we'll have a part 2 next Monday, right?
Thank you.
All right. All right. We also say thank you for watching from exactly 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. We'll see you tomorrow bright and early right here at Brian Sakwana 1 at Y254 channel. See you tomorrow.
Y254. Imagine.
Say bye-bye to FOMO, the fear of missing out, by downloading the KBC online app that gives you access to everything you love. Get the latest news, sports, music, entertainment news, live TV, live radio, and so much more at the palm of your hands. To get the app, simply search KBC Mobile Digital app in your Google Play or App Store and download the app. Catch what you want, anytime, anywhere. Stay connected. Stay ahead with KBC Mobile Digital app.
Komando, wambie sisi ndo vipenzi komando. Komando, wambie sisi ndo vipenzi komando.
Inakuwaje? Ni kila Jumatatu kutokea saa 1:05 hadi 3:30. Ndio unafahamu sisi ni makomando wa Afrika Mashariki ambao tunakupa kipindi chenye mapozi, tunatazama na mapozi ya kwako. Wanasema kwamba you can call me Kenny at Kenrelby. Wagwang, my name is DJ Kuch. Pale kwenye chiki na kupatia mziki zote za East Africa, old school, new school, zote ziko ndani. You can link up at DJ Kuch. Boom.
And of course, with me, Kalondu Musimi, I'll be giving you all the entertaining stories in East Africa. Nitakuwa nikuambia nani amefanya nini, kwa nini na akiwa na nani.
Hatuagizi na mabosi, sisi wenyewe mabosi. Wanatobea mikosi, tunalindwa na sagodi pekee.